Over on the East Bank, we've got an injury crash, Interstate Drive at James Robertson Parkway. Nob Hill, a crash, White Bridge Pike, just north of Nob Road. In Donaldson, Elm Hill Pike, west of Donaldson Pike. Police reporting a crash there. Madison, Gallatin Pike, north at Old Hickory Boulevard. In Antioch, Haywood Lane at I-24. Then back over here on the East Bank, we've got 24 westbound near Jefferson Street. TDOT reporting a crash there. I-40 got two issues. One is in West Nashville, eastbound before 46th Avenue, 51st Avenue. The other one at Church Street, eastbound, exit 209A. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Hello, friends. Welcome in. It is just after 3 o'clock, 3:07 to be precise. My name is Matt Murphy, and conveniently, this is the Matt Murphy Radio Show on Super Talk 99.7 WT, and imagine seeing you here. Thank you for being here, whatever time you're able to give us. We've got 4 full hours, and we hope to fill every single moment of it with education and information and entertainment, and, you know, maybe we'll all learn something together today at some point or another. I hope you're able to spend the maximum amount of time with us. It is, pardon me. I got choked up there. It is episode 725 of the proceedings today. Thank you for being around. It is Locks for Trump Day 313. Those are the pleasantries. And here are the ways to watch or listen to the radio show. You can do so by tuning in on 99.7 FM on your radio dial. 100,000 watts of blowtorch power all the way to Alabama, all the way to Kentucky, and all points in between. You can also find us on any of your streaming applications. If you stream news or information or music or podcast or whatever, you're able to stream us on those platforms as well. Just type in Supertalk 99.7 WTN. And you can, of course, watch the proceedings for you masochists in the audience. If you want to watch me do a radio show, by all means, we invite it at Supertalk TV, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, any of those platforms. Just type us in there. Like and subscribe, will you? Just like and subscribe and give us the old thumbs up. Thank you to U.S. Pest for bringing you the television side of things. Thank you for U.S. Pest for bringing you each hour of the Matt Murphy Radio Show. My chair's broken.
What do you mean?
I think my chair, it's broken. Huh? It's like it's a setup for little people. And I don't like it.
Switch it out with the other one.
I mean, yeah. What was wrong with my cheese? There was something was wrong with the cheese yesterday. Now something's wrong with the cheese today. Yeah. I can't remember what the cheese was
Your
yesterday.
Your phone wasn't working.
That's right.
Neither phone was working.
And that's true. Yeah. Now we've got one of the phones working. So if you want to get on the radio, just call me on my cell phone, and I'll put you through.
Just hold it up to the microphone.
Just hold it up to the microphone. It's all good. There's Chris Weber. He's behind the glass, making sure that everything that comes out of our speakers sounds as good as possible. Hello. Good afternoon, Mr. Weber.
Hi.
How's it going?
It's going pretty cool.
You ready?
Oh, yeah, I'm ready.
You ready? Born ready.
Yeah. Everyone's freaking out and just kicking back, going, yeah, bring it on.
What about Weaver? You ready, Weaver?
I'm ready.
Yeah.
Yeah, boy,
I'm ready,
gonna be
too.
In my soft clothes.
Yeah. So here's the dynamic in the afternoon hours. I don't know what everybody else is doing. I think Chad's going to be here.
Yeah, Chad's going to walk here.
Well, good for Chad. Good for Chad. Where does Chad live? Like next door?
Pretty close,
Yeah,
from what I
far.
understand.
I don't think Chad would walk here if he lived in Mount Juliet.
No.
Or in Murfreesboro, for that matter.
Well, I wouldn't even. I don't even like driving I-24.
Honestly, walking I-24 might be more pleasant than driving I-24.
I've seen
now that
people
I think
do
about
it.
Now that I think about it, and there are blankets on the sofas. So yeah, Chad will be here. Bell will be here. Ken will not. Ken will be doing everything that he does from his News Closet B. From the let's call it News Closet South.
Yeah, it's a little breakfast nook.
Mm-hmm. In the compound there in Murfreesboro. So he'll be there. I'll be here. Weber will be back there. I'm not worried about getting here. I'm worried about getting home. But I got a 4-wheel drive truck, and and nothing but time, right?
Yeah, it'd be all right.
Tomorrow afternoon or evening at 7 o'clock, I've got nothing but time, and it's just snow, for goodness sake. It's not as if it's ice.
Well,
if it were ice, that might be a little trouble.
Well,
what?
That has changed.
Well, tell me what it is.
There is the slight possibility that some sleet could be mixed in as far north as Nashville.
I don't believe it. I don't believe you. That's fake news coming out of the newsroom.
That's from Brother Dan Thomas, who you're going to be talking to.
I'm going to be talking to him in just a second. That's right. I know Chad talked with him about 1:30, but for those who missed it, we're going to check in with Dan. You need an official voice in these times of peril.
Yes, sir.
And we've got one with Dan Thomas.
Yes, sir.
And he's coming on with us, and we're going to talk to him about Doppler and Doppels and all those types of things and when we can expect the big stuff and wing, all of that.
Yeah.
It's coming up, 3:35 this afternoon on Super Talk. And at 4:05 this afternoon, I'm excited about this. We have the man with the plan when it comes to the General Assembly. Cameron Sexton will be in with us.
Awesome.
He is stopping by. He will talk to us about his priorities for the legislative session that is set to begin next week. So we're doing that in the 4 o'clock hour. Your telephone calls all afternoon long as the phone lines hang on. We are dealing with something from Ma Bell back in 1978, 1979. I don't know what's going on. There's a gremlin in my phone that it flutters at me as if it has some sort of awareness, which is kind of freaking me out a little bit.
Really?
And also, I'm going to get grumpy real quick because this room is hot.
Huh.
Like a lot hotter than normal.
That's strange.
And that will get me grumpier than anything. Everything's wrong in here today. It's hot. The chair's all screwed up. I blame damn Mandis. Can't even say his name right.
Damn Mandis.
Damn Mandis. I used to call him Boss Man Dandis, and I can't do that anymore because he's not the boss man anymore. So
there's got to be a fan around here somewhere.
Like
I got a fan rolling right now in News Closet B.
Do you really?
It's warm in here, man.
It's like they realized it was going to snow, and someone said, hey, y'all think we should turn the heat on? Oh, that's a good idea because nobody will be up here tomorrow.
And we won't be back till Monday.
Let's just crank that heat and make sure that everyone that's not in the building is nice and toasty warm.
What about the folks upstairs? Who?
We have an upstairs?
What? Is that what those stairs are for?
There's a second floor?
I thought those were just the show pony stairs. I realized that actually went somewhere. You know, I thought it just went, it goes around the corner, and then there's that nice little balcony. It goes to that door. That door's always locked, and that's it.
Yeah.
We do a few things up here, believe it or not. And we've got a few things to do and a few things to talk about this afternoon. Obviously, serious matters happening out in California, and it is sad. It is a sad state of circumstances that the natural disasters that they have been going through for a long, long time, since I was a wee lad, we knew about wildfires in California. We understood that the dynamics were that there are drought-like conditions in many portions of that state, exacerbated by the high rate of wind that can pop up, the Santa Ana winds in this case, and you mix that with that delicate tinder that's not being eliminated in the forests, and it is a recipe for wildfires. And you would think that the powers that be would have figured this out by now, but sadly the powers that be are more concerned about DEI or wokeism or whatever they're concerned about, maybe trips to Ghana, Africa, that they're not handling their business, and people are dying as a result. They're losing all of their material possessions as a result. We will dissect it and break it down for you this afternoon on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. If Democrats... I was driving home last night, and I want to we call him the Great One for a reason. His name is Mark Levin. And you hear Mark on our show, or our radio station, right after our show, on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. And Levin said this in a slightly different way. I'm paraphrasing him last night, but he's exactly right. If liberals cared as much about the environment as they claim to, then why is it that everything they do to solve so-called environmental crises is wrong? If liberals control California, right? There is no Republican that has any say in the state of California. None. Nowhere. The state government run by Democrat liberals. Local governments run by Democrat liberals. All of the decision-making made by Democrat liberals. then why is this happening? Why is this happening? Now, I said this, not Levin. I said this, and I think it's pretty good. It must be a wonderful feeling to never have to take responsibility for anything that you do as a politician because you made something up that you can blame, which is exactly what they've done. They took something that is a natural state of being on planet Earth, climate change, and they suggested that that is not the natural state of order on planet Earth, climate change. There is one thing that the climate will always do that I can guarantee you that the climate will always do, and that is change. And you'll recall, and I'm willing to have this conversation for the next 4 hours. And I know predecessors on this radio station did movies about it. Phil Valentine did a movie about it. They didn't call it climate change when they started their effort, their anti-capitalist effort, which is what it is, okay? And it's all about control and socialism, which are one and the same things. Oh, they call... Back in the 70s, I can point to you in the 1960s and 1970s, article after article after article. In major publications, these are not side, fake news publications. These are, esteemed journals of science and medicine that told us that we were on the cusp of another ice age and that it was on the way. Nothing we could do about it. Well, it never happened. And so suddenly, at some point in the 1970s, as the 1970s became the 1980s and the 1980s moved on a little bit, the ice age became global warming. The globe is getting hotter every single year. Well, forget the fact that the globe heats and cools over millennia. Forget the fact that all of this happens in a natural state of being anyway. Am I here to suggest that mankind cannot have a minuscule impact on what is already going on? Of course not. I would not be foolish enough to say so. But whatever impact mankind is having is indeed minuscule in comparison to, shall we say, Mother Earth and the natural cycles of the earth and the sun and everything else involved in all of this. So they called it global warming forever. And it's getting hotter and it's getting hotter. And there was Al Gore with his hockey stick, which never came to fruition. Al Gore told us, wasn't it, he came out with an inconvenient truth, I want to say in 2005, right after Hurricane Katrina and Hurricane Rita, 2005 or 2006. And he told us in 10 years we were beyond the tipping point. So we have been beyond the tipping point for now at least 8 years. So what the hell are we even talking about it for? Well, because he's wrong. His assessment was always wrong. He did it for power and control and in an effort to manipulate capitalism. The mere suggestion that mankind could impact this type of activity if we wanted to is in and of itself absurd. And even if we could, who is to say that it would not ultimately turn out better? The really, really cold places will get hotter. I've often asked the question, and I'll ask it to you in an open-ended fashion, 615-737-9986, either via super text line or on the phone lines. I would love to hear what you think the temperature is supposed to be. And I've asked this question for years. Okay, you're saying that we got global warming going on, right? I mean, and now they call it climate. So they call it climate change now because the globe doesn't warm every year, and you've had years where it dips, and they can't explain that if their theories are correct, that the amount of pollutants and fossil fuels that we're burning into the atmosphere are causing all of this. And so as an effort to get away from that, they went with the phrase that they know is always true. because the thing the climate always does is change. Oh, it's climate change. And that's not enough, so now they want to call it climate crisis. We're in a climate crisis. Climate crisis! So I, in an effort to facilitate conversation, say this. Okay, so what is the temperature? What's the temperature supposed to be? Like, the temperature in this room is supposed to be about 10 degrees cooler than it is right now, for example. But it's not. What's the temperature on Earth supposed to be? Tell me what the temperature we want it to be is. I mean, if you're telling me that there's a crisis, if there's something that we need to do about, we've got to do something about this right now. Otherwise, all of humanity is going to die, and all the fish in the sea and everything. Okay, then tell me what the goal is. Tell me what the goal is. Not we've got to reduce carbon emissions, not that we've got to get off fossil fuels. Tell me what you want to happen if we do that. What do you want the temperature of Earth to be? And they can never tell you. Because they don't know. And now we have liberals making stupid liberal decisions in a state that is fraught with them, explaining all of this away as climate change. You know, it must be nice. It must be nice when faced with all of your failures to be able to make something up that you can point to every time and say, it's that. You make something up and someone says, hey, you're not doing your job. Oh, no, it's not my fault. It's the thing that I made up. Oh, okay, well, we'll run with that story then. Which is exactly what the mainstream media is doing, and it pisses me off. I'll admit it. Not to put too fine a point on it. Your calls on this, I'll give you a timeline of Mayor Karen Bass, what else is going on in California, plus what's going on in our neck of the woods. It's 22 after the hour. We're just getting underway. I hope your day's going well. My day's going great. I'm a little hot under the collar for a variety of reasons. We're going to facilitate that throughout the course of the day. Would love to hear from you. 615-737-9986. It's The Murphy Show on Super Talk. What's up, gang? You want to feel better about yourself in 2025? You want to look better, too? Well, 2025 can be the year that you grow hair in a fuller and thicker manner. It's Matt Murphy, and I went to We Grow Hair some time ago. Now, you come to me on Super Talk TV. You look at me on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, and you tell me that I don't have a full head of hair, because I do. And in part, I can thank We Grow Hair and the PAI medical folks, because they saw where I was thinning a little bit on the crown of my head. It was early on, and thankfully they caught it and said, hey, we've got this FDA-approved laser treatment. You do this, it's less than 45 minutes per session, and it's non-invasive. You put the little halo on, you got the lasers going, and let me tell you, it works. It helps stimulate hair growth. It grows fuller and thicker, and you eliminate losing your hair. No one else in Tennessee has the ARTIS robotic FUE procedure either, or the multi-unit hair grafting procedure, transplant procedure. That is a fancy way of saying results are guaranteed. Guaranteed. Backed by the only company that I trust to help thinning hair, it's We Grow Hair. Call them today for an appointment, 615-376-6010, 376-6010, or go to WeGrowHair.com. Tell them I sent you to We Grow Hair. Hey, what's up, guys? It's Matt Murphy in the middle of downtown Franklin, Tennessee. We've talked so much about Savory Spice. I thought, why not show you the place? So let's go on in and see what's popping at Savory Spice. As I've always said, you will smell the spices even before you walk in. I can smell them right here in the doorway. Come on in and let's introduce you to the one and only Holly, who is the owner and proprietor of Savory Spice. Say hey, Holly.
Hello, everyone.
Now, enough about Holly. Let's talk about spicy and easy products like the incredible taco soup, which, as I said, you put this in a crock pot, you put all the ingredients that it tells you to buy right there, you put the spices in, and it's so easy. So if you don't know what you're doing around the kitchen, it's a perfect way to find your way around the kitchen, as is the Mediterranean dill risotto. Now, for the holidays, pumpkin pie spice. What doesn't it have, Holly?
Pumpkin.
Doesn't have any pumpkin in it. That's a fun fact for all of you kids out there. Now, if you stop by Savory Spice, either in the Franklin location or at L&L Market, you can get yourself a sample of the dill dip, which is my absolute favorite. Just tell them Matt Murphy sent you to Savory Spice with purchase now. So come by Franklin or L&L Market in Nashville and come see Holly and the entire crew at Savory Spice.
Governor Bill Lee getting out ahead of the big winter storm. We'll tell you how coming up at 3:30 on Super Talking 99.7 WTN.
Thank you much. I was a little distracted there. My apologies to Ken Weaver.
Why is that, Brother Matt?
Well, I was distracted because somebody just sent me a text, and it really has nothing to do with what we're talking about, but Weber, you might care a little about this.
What's that?
Apparently, Carson Beck is now saying he's coming back for another season.
Is that so?
And that he's going to enter the Now, I don't know if this is real or not. This came from Dave Elliott, who is our sales manager, so it could be fake news. Who knows?
Is he a Bulldog fan, too?
He is not. He's a Georgia Tech fan, Ken.
Yeah, I don't trust anything he says.
So I don't really trust it, but it's coming from Bleacher Report. Georgia quarterback Carson Beck is planning to opt out of the 2025 NFL Draft and enter the transfer portal.
Yeah, I'm seeing it all over the Google machine. So
all over the
apparently so.
Well, okay then.
Well, I'll be.
Well, you know what? Thank you, Carson, for your time at the University of Georgia, and I wish you the best of luck. Hey, y'all need a quarterback over there at Oklahoma there, Ken Weaver?
Nope.
No?
We
You
got
good?
one. We got a brand new offensive coordinator. We've got a quarterback's coach, and we've got their quarterback.
Oh, well, in that case, you're all set.
Yeah, and our entire defense is still with us.
Well, that's good.
Yeah,
the defense was pretty good.
Yeah, the only we lost two defenders, but they didn't play.
Okay. Well, fair enough. Well, there's a little football talk. We only get 3 minutes per day. We're time limited. Yep. We only get 3 minutes per day, so we've exhausted a minute. I think this is going to count against us in the football talk, but let's go ahead and mention this while we're at it, and we'll get to your calls on climate change. How about this guy? The voice of the Tennessee Titans made an announcement today. Mike Keith, known to Super Talk 99.7 WTN listeners and fans of 104.5 The Zone, our sister station, and obviously fans of the Tennessee Titans. We know Mike. We love him. How about this?
Have a miracle left in them in what has been a magical season to this point.
Greatest call in history.
If they do, they need it
Titans
now.
history.
Christie kicks it high and short.
Jan 8,
Going to be fielded by Lorenzo Neal at the 25.
Let's go.
Pitches it back to Wycheck. He throws it across the field to Dyson.
He's got something.
30,
He's got
40,
something.
50.
He's got it.
40.
He's got it.
20. 10.
He's got it.
End zone. Touchdown Titans. There are no flags on the field. It's a miracle. Tennessee has pulled a miracle.
I love it. I love the call. I don't know who the the color analyst was. I know it's now Coach Dave McGinnis, and I love Coach Dave. Why do color analysts feel necessary to get into the way of a call?
Yeah, stepping
get
on it,
out of the way of the call and let the play-by-play man do his thing.
Wait until after the call. Yeah.
Right. I don't understand it because you're getting in the way of a magical call. But be that as it may, Mike Keith announced that he's going to be the voice of the Tennessee Volunteers next year.
Yep.
Big news.
Going to do football and basketball.
And I would assume he's not going to be doing both.
He is leaving the Titans.
So he's leaving the Titans?
Yep.
Well, I mean, good for him. It is my understanding. I talked to a couple of people across the way at the sports station, and I asked, and they said that it has kind of long been known that this was Mike's dream.
Yeah.
I mean, that was always the dream job, to follow in the footsteps of some of the greats that came before him at the Tennessee Volunteers, and now he gets that opportunity. So best of luck to him. That's awesome.
Absolutely.
Good for him. That's pretty cool. All right, 31 after the hour. Dave and John and Mike, hang in there. We're going to talk climate change with you, specific to the situation going on out in California. We'll do that after the news on Super Talk.
I'm Ken Weaver with your top story. Snow starts at 2 o'clock in the morning in West Middle Tennessee. It's going to be all over Middle Tennessee by 9 o'clock, and travel conditions will deteriorate rapidly. Crews already treating the roads, both TDOT and NDOT. Got the full forecast and traffic in 5 minutes. And Governor Lee has issued a state of emergency ahead of the storm to make sure resources and agencies are streamlined to get help to where it's needed as fast as possible. Hopefully it's not needed. TDOT and NDOT, again, asking people stay home if possible. Channel 4's Brendan Tierney says there's still time to get to the store before the storm hits.
There's been a constant stream of people coming in and out of the Kroger here in West Nashville today. We can tell you it's not nearly as mobbed as it was earlier in the week. Shoppers told us that they wanted to make sure they had enough food in the house for the snowstorm tomorrow and going into the weekend. But some things like eggs, bread, and milk were sold out in a lot of stores. We saw some families also trying to stock up on snacks, expecting their kids to be out of school and playing in the snow.
A Kroger manager says they're working to restock after shipments got delayed by the winter storm in Kentucky last week. And a Publix manager says to ask your store's manager when the next shipment comes in. Meanwhile, some hardware stores say they've been packed with customers for the past 2 days.
Yeah, it's been pretty busy, steady all morning. You know, people getting plenty of ice melt, scrapers, car de-icer, windshield washer de-icer, like I said, sleds and salt.
Yeah, some stores say they've run out of shovels. And right now in Tennessee, Attorney General Jonathan Skrmetti says it's another massive win for Tennessee and the country. A federal judge in Kentucky blocking the Biden administration changes to Title IX that would have gender identity listed under sex discrimination if teachers and administrators don't use pronouns that do not align with a student's biological sex. It also means schools don't have to allow boys who identify as girls to use girls' bathrooms or locker rooms. That's the latest news, traffic, and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News. All right, the right lane is blocked 40 westbound before Charlotte Pike. Then in Antioch, 24 westbound near Harding Place, the right shoulder blocked by a crash. Over on the East Loop, Interstate Drive at James Robertson Parkway, police working a crash. White Bridge Pike, north of Knob Road, over in Knob Hill. Got a crash there. And then in West Nashville, 40 eastbound on-ramp from 46th and 51st, partially blocked by a crash. Traffic every 10 minutes, every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Sleep apnea is no joke, friends. I mean, obviously, it can cause significant issues with you and your significant other because of the snoring involved with sleep apnea, but it could also cause significant health concerns. Dr. Stephen Poss and Dr. Brian McLaughlin are well aware of this, and they want you to address the issue very, very quickly. And they have an option for you for those who recognize that you are CPAP intolerant. If you've tried before with a CPAP machine and you have mild to moderate sleep apnea, or if you've never tried because you don't believe that it would work for you, there's an FDA-approved oral device. It is very much like a mouth guard in football. It goes into your mouth, and I use it on a nightly basis. Absolutely love this thing. You get used to it in a night or two. It helps extend that jaw forward, and you sleep better. You breathe better throughout the night. You don't snore, and everything is great in the morning because you've got that energy level back up again. Contact Dr. Stephen Poss, Dr. Brian McLaughlin, 2 locations in Brentwood and Murfreesboro, and in network for most medical insurance in this state. drposs.com. That's drposs.com for the Sleep Apnea and TMJ Solution Center.
The guaranteed offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lock boxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.
I don't like to lie to the listening audience, and I told a small fib a moment ago.
Uh-oh.
I did. I admit it. I said, hey, Dave and John and Mike, we're getting right to you. And then I forgot we got Dan Thomas. So y'all hang in there. We're going to talk to Dan for a few minutes, and then we will get to you regarding climate change and the California wildfires and all of those types of things on Super Talk 99.7. WTN. Dan Thomas is our go-to man over at WSMV, and he joins us right now to talk about what we can expect, when we can expect it, everything involving the big snowmageddon, snowpocalypse storm that is on the way. Hello, Mr. Dan Thomas. How are you, sir?
Hey, madam. It's busy, of course, but everything is good. We are well underway, getting ready for this winter storm coming in. It's really just a slam dunk for this to happen tomorrow. So plan on accumulating snow. I think it gets to Nashville probably around 6 a.m., something like that. So before sunrise, which is at 7 o'clock. And because it's been so cold, as soon as the snow starts to fall, it will stick. And I think it's with us for a solid 12 hours. So it's going to wind down around dinner time tomorrow night, but not before dumping probably, 5, 6 inches of snow, something like that. Now, far southern Middle Tennessee, you could have some mixing down there. So down toward Lawrenceburg, Pulaski, maybe up toward Columbia, maybe as far as 840 briefly with a little sleet, maybe a little freezing rain, maybe a little liquid rain down toward the Tennessee-Alabama line. But I think it's a snowmaker in Nashville. In parts of the area, we're saying generally 4 to 6 inches of snow. Parts of the area will overperform and get just a hair more than that. But travel is going to be really difficult. Nashville Airport definitely impacted. If you can avoid traveling whatsoever, I would just stay home.
Well, unlike Chad Benson, I know what a doppel is, Dan, and I was listening to you earlier with our man Chad, so I won't ask you about the doppels that you're seeing, but I noticed on the radar that we're already seeing some type of precipitation coming into the state of Tennessee. It's kind of inching to Memphis already, so this storm it's coming.
It is, but here's the deal. When that initially happens, that's called Virga, and so it's not gonna reach the ground for a little bit. I don't really see anything of concern until after midnight tonight. And that would be out toward the Tennessee River when it starts to move in. So yeah, just before sunrise tomorrow. So if you got some evening plans, you got to zip off to the store. I think you're in good shape tonight.
So this has to be one of those in your world, because obviously you guys don't live for 72 and sunny every day. You get into the weather business because of your interest in these dynamic situations that come from time to time in Middle Tennessee. Obviously, we don't want to see anything that's going to harm anybody, anything that's going to hurt anyone, and that's often the case when we're talking severe thunderstorms or even tornadic activity. So this has to be on the better side of that, right? Because as long as people understand that it's coming, they get in place, they get all snuggled up and, get all the stuff that they need, they can just enjoy the snow from inside and hopefully not lose power and everything's A-okay.
Yeah, no doubt. Absolutely. So well said. I mean, the first snowstorm of the season, the weatherman is the favorite person of everyone. The second snowstorm of the season, people are like, all right, man, it's enough. A third snowstorm, they're like, this guy needs to move out of town. I'm done. So I'm in safe territory right now. We just got to make sure we don't go bananas with these storms here.
I have to confirm something with you, and I've been saying for the last 2 days, and I've heard it said to me, and it was said to me when I was in Birmingham, that the basic equivalency is an inch of snow is equivalent to 1/10 of an inch of rain. Is that basically the case?
That's right. Yeah, typically it's a 10-to-1 ratio. So typically if you get 10 inches of snow, on average, if you melt it down, you get an inch of water. But here's the deal with that. You've got to measure it every couple of hours or so, because you have something called compaction. And so once you get 10 inches of snow, especially if it's on the wetter side, it is going to compact. And, you may have more than 10 when you're measuring 10. So at the airport where they make these official measurements, or at the weather service, or maybe both places, and some people do this at the house, they have what's called a snowboard, and they measure it, and then then they wipe it all away, and then they start again, and they add up all those snow measurements to get the official snow total.
Okay, that makes sense. So you have to kind of monitor it and maintenance it, otherwise it will kind of compress upon itself and you're getting a false reading. That makes sense.
Totally. And dry, fluffy snow is full of air. And so I've seen snow before when I was at Penn State that was a 40-to-1 ratio, which means you would need 40 inches of that snow to get an inch of water. It was just so fluffy and dry. You could see, And sometimes you can get it as wet as 7 or 8-to-1, where it's just sopping wet snow. But the average is 10-to-1.
So in terms of ice and melting and whatnot, just give us the next 24 to 48 hour period of time after the snow comes down, what we can expect, and is there a concern about icing?
Yeah, absolutely. It's almost always the case here in the mid-state. We don't see it getting super warm until, and when I say super warm, I'm talking highs in the 50s until the mid to late part of next week. And so we're going to have that daytime sunshine melting, and then we're going to have the refreeze every night until right to the middle of next week. And in fact, Sunday morning, we'll get down to 20. And so there'll be black ice each and every morning. I think we get a lot of melting on Sunday because we get up close to 40 in the afternoon, and we drop back into the 20s as we get into Monday morning. So people going back to work or school on Monday, they'll have to watch the areas of black ice. It's possible some people are impacted road-wise and maybe even school-wise on Monday. But right now, I think the big counties will probably have things under control by the start of next week.
All right, Dan, I would be remiss if I did not ask you a final question unrelated to the weather. How are the Nittany? By the way, you're welcome. As a Georgia Bulldog fan, you're welcome that we got out of the way.
That's right. Thank you.
And I got to root for the Nittany Lions, I guess, tonight because I'm not rooting for Notre Dame. That's for sure. What do you? What is your anticipation for tonight?
That's my alma mater. So I mean, I'm hopeful, but this is our first test, and so the road was paved nicely for us before this. We had those two other teams that we did a good job with, and now it gets real. We got Notre Dame, and then if we can get through Notre Dame, we'll probably have, my guess is Ohio State. Mm-hmm. And so if Penn State's going to be a national champion, they're going to earn it every step of the way. And it gets real tonight, and tomorrow night Ohio State has their chance. So I can't wait.
This has to be great for you. This is what we felt like the other day, Weber. I realized this, Dan, that the other day because they had to move the game. Obviously, the situation that happened down in New Orleans, they had to move the game, so we were on air during the game, during the Georgia Bulldog Notre Dame game. So I wasn't able to watch. That's going to be you tonight, right?
No chance. I am sitting on my couch at home. I'm going to watch my daughter cheer at her middle school game, and I took a half day off, and I got lucky that let it stick. So my boss didn't shut that down. But I'll be working a double tomorrow, no question about it. I probably leave the house tomorrow at 10, and I won't get home till God knows when. So I'll pay for it tomorrow, but I am home tonight, and I'm glad about it.
I like talking to a man who has his priorities in order. There's Dan. There's Dan Thomas. Thank you, Dan, for everything you do over at WSMV. We appreciate you, brother.
You got it, Matt. Thank you.
Right, take care. There's Dan Thomas. I like that. He said, "No, I'm going to be at home watching whatever snow. Who
cares about that?
Gives a mess about the weather. I'm watching my Nittany Lions. Good for you, Dan. All right, did you hang up on him?
Yes,
because it still says he's on the line.
Yeah, he's gone.
Okay, well that's good. 347 Super Talk 99.7 WTN. While we're talking about the weather, why not go ahead and make good on my promise? Dave in McMinnville, you are up next. Hello, Dave.
Hey, how's it going?
I'm doing well, Dave. Hope you are.
All righty. I've been around. I'm an old dog, quite a bit over you. Anyway, back in the 70s, right around 74, they started talking and telling us in school about taking care of the planet, which meant clean up the trash, recycle, save our, wood and everything else so that we didn't destroy the world so fast because of population growing. Point is, if you take a hairdryer and turn it on high and put it in a freezer, what's going to happen?
If you take a hairdryer and turn it on high and put it in a freezer, you're probably going to have an electrical shortage and burn your house down.
Well, barring that, you're going to make a lot of heat. What happens to the refrigerator?
Sure.
It thaws out.
Sure.
Same thing with an oven. You put cold air in there, it's going to bring the temperature down. Well, the thing is, with stratosphere layers, it picks up heat, it dissipates heat, it travels around. Mm-hmm. Now, proven easy fact, all you got to do is go to the country sometime and see the temperature difference compared to being in the city. You have concrete, blocks, massive amounts of people, and nowadays massive air conditioning condenser. Stand beside one of them when you're cooling the house to 65 or whatever. Mm-hmm. But it's a natural reaction. The more the population in a given area, the more the temperatures are going to be weird compared to everywhere else.
When you say the temperature is weird, what should the temperature be, Dave?
Well, for example, I'm in McMinnville. I'm out here outside the city, not real far. It's colder further out. But you guys average generally in the summer at least 10 degrees warmer than we do, even in the hot weather. And then anywhere from 8 to 12 degrees in the cold weather like we're having now. And that's because we have hay fields and trees and not many houses.
Huh.
I mean, the bigger the population, the more heat it creates. And even though the stratosphere, many layers and temperatures going to zero, it moves, it takes the heat with it, and that it can cause tornadoes.
Dave, you sound like a smart fellow on all this. What is the biggest contributor to global warming? Do you know? Do you know the answer to that?
Right now, I mean, it's not really global warming. There is none. There's no such thing.
Right,
it's a matter of higher populations.
No. I would suggest that the biggest contributor to global, I think you'll understand when I tell you the answer. You ready?
Yep.
The sun.
Yeah, that too. Solar flares in the last few years. That'll do it.
There's the sun and distance. I mean, that's why it's cooler in the winter and hotter in the summer, right? Tilt to the earth. Yeah. Well, Dave, thank you for the call. Call us back anytime. I appreciate you, brother. Hold it down there in McMinnville, home of Dottie West. It's 51 after the hour. Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Pest for tomorrow. Continuous coverage with the latest forecast, traffic delays, and aftermath of the winter weather on Super Talk 99.7 WTN and the Super Talk 99.7 WTN app.
All right, friends, let's talk about that cold weather. You know, snow on the ground, that means that the critters that are currently outside of your home are going to try to get into your home, and that is just a fact, whether it's roaches or other types of creepy, crawly insect-type bugs, or it's varmints. I'm talking about, mice, rats, and the like. If you have U.S. Pest, you don't have to worry about this because you have a barrier of protection around your home, and U.S. Pest works tirelessly to create that barrier for you to prevent rodent-borne diseases, insect-borne diseases, and just to prevent these nasty guys from coming into your house and taking what's yours, right? They want what you want. They want the warmth. They want your food, and they want to enjoy that without having to pay rent, and you need to stop it with U.S. Pest. J.K. and Erica Brister run a great company. I love the fact that when I see a U.S. Pest billboard around town, there's always an American flag flying right above it. Why? Because they believe in this country, and they believe in eliminating your rodent or insect problem with U.S. Pest. The purpose of pest control? To stop these things from coming into your home. If you've got a problem, it's time to call U.S. Pest. Give them a call at 590-1260, 590-1260 for our friends at U.S. Pest.
The guaranteed offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lock boxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.
Winter storm timeline. Governor Lee isn't wasting any time. Still time to go to the store. Hardware stores are busy. The Biden administration's attempt to have gender identity under the sex discrimination umbrella is blocked. And the Los Angeles mayor defending defunding firefighters. These stories and more at 4 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Super Talk 99.7 WTN. We've got a couple of minutes to get to John and Mike, and in just a moment, our man, Cameron Sexton, is with us. He is the Speaker of the House of the Tennessee General Assembly. He's going to preview the Assembly. And by the way, if you have any questions for Cameron Sexton, get them on the Super Text line, and I will ask any and all questions that come in at 615-737-9986. 615-737-9986. John, it is your turn in Hendersonville. John, thank you for your call. How are you, sir?
I'm doing good. Thank you for taking the night spot.
Thank you.
So I was praying for it. I was hoping it was going to be you, but
that's
really
kind. Thank you, sir. I appreciate that. It's an honor to follow up Brian Wilson, follow up Phil Valentine. It's an honor to be here talking to you, John.
Well, I appreciate it, but the climate change. I don't call it climate change. I call it climate variation because of the environmentalists and the liberals have hijacked the term climate change, and it means what they want it to mean. But my background, I got an undergraduate and graduate degree in environmental health, and we had a visiting professor from Oak Ridge area back in '91 when I was in graduate school, and he said, "Well, we're going into a global warming." And I'm 60. I'm still young, I think, but I'm 60. I remember the 70s and all the snow and the blizzards we had in western Kentucky, and I said, "Well, and I raised my hand like I was a Marine. So I speak my mind. And I raised my hand. Well, that's awesome. So this is going to offset the next ice age." And he didn't like that answer. But also, I'm a buff on history, and I always wondered why the Anglos and Saxons, you got to follow me on this, why did they migrate from the North Sea region, from the Germanic and the Frankish coast to Britain? And I did some research on it. Between 600 AD and 1200 AD, we had a 1 degree Celsius increase in the northern hemisphere climate temperature, made the ice melt a little bit. They were on the coast. They had to find some place to go, so they ended up over there. Well, that came out of the Encyclopedia Britannica. That's
I wonder if it's still there. Hey, I got to leave it there, John. I'm sorry I do, but the music in the background indicates to me that our time is up for this hour. We'll continue the conversation. Once again, if you talk to one of these climate change folks, just ask them, what is the temperature supposed to be? Just tell me what it's supposed to be, and then I'll start working on a solution for you. We're going to work on a solution for the Tennessee General Assembly with the Speaker of the House, Cameron Sexton. He's up next on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Four o'clock on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Snow expected to start at 2 o'clock in the morning in West Middle Tennessee. It's going to be over all of us by 9 o'clock in the morning. And when it starts falling, travel conditions are expected to deteriorate rapidly. Crews, both TDOT and NDOT, already treating the roads and interstates. Got the full forecast and traffic in 5 minutes. Governor Lee has issued a state of emergency ahead of the storm to make sure resources and agencies are streamlined to get help to where it's needed as fast as possible. Hopefully it's not needed. TDOT and NDOT asking people stay home if possible. Still time to go to the store before the storm. This man at the West Nashville Kroger telling Channel 4.
I don't want to walk, and I don't want to be out here driving in the snow or ice with everybody else doing the same thing tomorrow, so might as well go ahead and stock up now while it's, otherwise beautiful, a little bit cold, so.
A Kroger manager says they're working to restock after shipments got delayed by the winter storm in Kentucky last week. And a Publix manager says to ask your store's manager when the next shipment comes in. Some hardware store managers say they've been busy the past couple of days.
Yeah, it's been pretty busy, steady all morning. You know, people getting plenty of ice melt, scrapers, car de-icer, windshield washer de-icer, like I said, sleds and salt.
Yeah, some hardware stores say they've run out of shovels. Right now in Tennessee, State Attorney General Jonathan Skrmetti says it's another massive win for Tennessee and the country. A federal judge in Kentucky today blocked the Biden administration rule that would require schools and administrators to use pronouns based on a student's gender identity. Also provide access to girls' bathrooms and locker rooms to boys who identify as girls. The Biden administration tried, but has now failed, to include gender identity under the sex discrimination umbrella. And as firefighters battle to control the fires spreading across the Los Angeles area, residents are returning to find what's left of their homes. That was the case for this widow in the Pacific Palisades.
I'm not crying. I can't. I was numb. So this is more of a paralysis, but it's also the real.
What's your doorknob?
Oh, yeah.
We're there, lady. We're there. We'll get it.
She says she left her house not because of the fire, but because of the smoke, and didn't think this is what she would return to. Meanwhile, Los Angeles Mayor Karen Bass on the hot seat for decisions made during the threat of the Santa Ana winds that fueled the fires, like cutting $18 million from the fire department.
There were no reductions that were made that would have impacted the situation that we were dealing with over the last couple of days.
But Councilwoman Tracy Park says defunding the fire department's been a problem for decades.
We have suffered from chronic underinvestment in both our critical infrastructure and our public safety resources.
Mayor Bass also criticized for taking a trip to Ghana during the Santa Ana threat. That's the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
You know, I'm relatively new to the state of Tennessee. I don't currently own land, but I plan to buy land this spring. And when that happens, I'm going to buy enough that I get to talk to Stlco about building on my property. I'm talking a pole barn. Heck, I might even go barn dominium. You never know, because they do it at Stlco, and they are so good at what they do. They are the leading company with first-class customer service in the creation of post-frame buildings such as barn dominiums, pole barns, garages, equestrian spaces, event spaces. They do it all at Stlco. Go online and see some of the incredible product that they put together. It's amazing what they can do at Stlco. Go to STOLTZ.com. That's Stoltz.com, or give them a call at 615-622-5992. If you're thinking about a future home, maybe you have an in-law or family member that's getting up in years and you want to create a space just for them on your property, they can do it at Stlco. Remember my name and tell them I sent you to STOLTZ.com.
Got a crash 40 westbound right before Charlotte Pike, blocking the right shoulder in Antioch. A crash on the right shoulder, 24 westbound near Harding Place. Then in West Nashville, 40 eastbound on-ramp from 46th and 51st. That on-ramp partially blocked by a crash. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Looking forward to this conversation. Hello, friends. It's Matt Murphy. It's a Thursday. That's right? Thursday edition, Jan 9, 2025, episode 600 and, let's get it right, Murphy, 725. Man, oh, man. 725 episodes, and you would think I would be able to count. We've got a big hour coming up this hour. Very excited about it. We'll tell you more about that in just a moment. You can participate in the show at any point at 615-737-9986. Several of you have already thrown some questions down on the super text line for our next guest. I'm excited to have the Speaker of the House of the state of Tennessee in the General Assembly. He is Cameron Sexton, and he's joining us in studio to preview the session that is coming up next week. Cameron, a good afternoon to you, sir.
Hey, good afternoon. Great to be here.
It's good to see you, too. Congratulations. I did this offline. I'll do it online. I feel like we're on even footing now. Last time I talked football with you was over in Athens. So I feel like we're in even footing, so we can say congratulations to the Vols and congrats to the Dogs for making the playoffs.
Hey, look, it's everybody wants to be in the playoff, and then you get there and you make the most of it. And, Tennessee, Ohio State looks a whole lot better now after Oregon than what we thought. And, I think Georgia just had some injury problems, and they'll be back next year, obviously.
We might fuss about legislation, but I didn't realize we were kindred spirits in our passion for football, and I saw it on the sidelines. I'm going to tell this story on you. Cameron, we're standing next to one another, and Cameron's like a bad call goes Georgia's way against Tennessee, and he's looking at me and goes, that's garbage, Murphy. It's like, I didn't throw the flag, Cameron. But I loved it. I had a great time with it.
Well, those striped shirts sometimes, so.
It is what it is.
Yeah.
Let's, it's balls and strikes when it comes to your role as the Speaker of the House and the new General, what is it, 114?
114th, yes.
Yeah. You excited?
Yeah, I am. I think members are excited. They're kind of refreshed. The campaign, gives us a lot of ideas will come back from the campaign cycle. Members will file for legislation. But everybody's looking forward to coming back, and then we'll get started, probably take a week or 2 week recess, and then reconvene, and then get to go on with the people's business.
How many new members do you have in the House?
Less than 10. There's not a lot this time. It's one of the smaller classes we've had, which is good. So we'll get them initiated. There was some orientation this week up at University of Tennessee that some of them went to. We'll have some orientation with the clerk's office for them, and it'll be about March before things kind of slow down for them. It's going to move really fast at first. What
is for those who don't know? It occurs to me this might just be a good opportunity to reset. How do you describe your role as Speaker of the House?
Yeah, so my role is I work for the body. Obviously, I'm elected by the body. I'm nominated by the caucus, but I work for the body based on the vote. And then I work with the governor, lieutenant governor on legislation, on budget, on other things. I still have my state representative role from back home with Crossville, so I do still have that aspect in my job as well. The other job is I try to make sure I put members in the right spots on committee that they're passionate about and the things that they want to do and the experiences in their life that would bring something to that subject matter, per se. And then, I sit there and also want to make sure that we have decorum and stuff and that we can move forward and make sure that we have respect for one another and we're able to disagree, but in a way that doesn't counterproductive. And for the most part, we've done that. We've had some bumps here in the last few years, not with everybody, but with a few. And we're working through those issues. But, you have to have you can't have chaos. And so everybody needs to live by the same rules, and that's what we try to do.
Not to belabor the analogy, but in a way, it seems you become the referee on the field when the House is in session, in as much as the body decides on the rules that it wants to abide by. Mm-hmm. Those rules are in place, and now you, as Speaker of the House, are there to enforce said rules.
Right. The rules are adopted by the body, as you said, and I'm there to make sure that we follow the rules. But there are some instances on the House floor where we put in place that the body does take a vote on that member. And so it becomes, I may have ruled a certain way, but if there's a disciplinary action associated with it, then the body as a whole takes a vote on it, and then that vote stands whether it's yay or nay. And so then in some instances, it's kind of like the two teams come together and they vote. And whatever that is what happens.
Or maybe like they call it,
like a replay.
Instant review, right? Instant replay. They call it up and they get a look at it and make sure that everything's as it should be. I mean, you mentioned the rabble rousers that have gotten a lot of publicity, and I don't want to give them too much time here. There's there's a lot of important things that we need to get to, but you have to anticipate this. It seems that there are some members that enjoy the disruption. They don't want to seem to further the interest of their districts. Instead, they seem to want to get a lot of television time, and everybody knows who I'm talking about. do you spend a lot of time addressing those particular individuals, or are you just interested in getting the rules in place and making sure that every member abides by said rules?
No, we try to get the rules in place for everybody to abide by, and people who are visiting as well. There's rules that they need to abide by if they're in the balcony and so forth. And so, look, they sit here and they want to think they're on my mind constantly. I don't ever think about them, and so I think they think about me a whole lot more than I think about them. And, their job is to get on TV. Their job is to get in national news. Their job is to go to MSNBC. Their job was they thought they were going to go into the Harris White House. Well, that didn't work out too well for them. And so I think they're going to come back and they're going to try to maybe get national recognition for something. And who knows? But we have the rules in place. I think that we're in a good spot with that, and we'll work through it.
There is a lawsuit ongoing. I want to mention this and get your thoughts on it, that members of the Justin Jones, I guess it is, Representative Jones has accused the body of violating his constitutional rights. Now, I happen to know that Justin Jones spoke more than I want to say any other member of the body in the last session. If he's not number one, he's in the top three. As a matter of fact, if you look at the top 10 speakers, 9 out of the top 10 speakers are Democrats, despite the fact that Republicans have the supermajority in the House of Representatives and in the Senate. 9 out of the 10. The only one that cracked the top 10 as a Republican was the House Majority Leader, William Lamberth, which you might expect because he does a lot of the lifting on the floor. Yet they are suing you and 3 House staff members, and you're attempting to get this dismissed. I mean, anything to say about the case?
Look, he refiled it because he's trying to make news. That's all it is. And if there was anything to it, they would have done something with it by now. And, it's whatever. The ethics attorney and I, we have conversations about it. We got to be limited on what we can say or not say on it. But look, at the end of the day, that individual has spoken more than anybody else. But I will say, whenever you go to your employer and you take a job, right, Matt?
Mm-hmm.
There's things that you can do and things you can't do, things you can say and you can't say. If you say certain things, there's certain consequences. So there's no absolute free speech when you go to work somewhere. And so there's other aspects that you have to have. And so when you vote on the House rules, whether you vote for them or against them, if the House rules pass, you have to live within those House rules, just like you have to live within the HR policy of the company that you work for. And so it's the same thing.
Or the federal government's rules on certain language that we can or cannot use on this radio station.
Or you go to Congress, and Congress says if you go in their balcony, you can't take your cell phones. If you go in the balcony, you can't wear hats. If you go in the balcony, you can't shout out. No one's suing them for First Amendment rights. There are limitations depending on what's happening around and so forth. Now, he doesn't like it, but he's just trying to make news. So.
It occurs to me that, and final thing I'll say on it, you can say whatever you'd like, but it occurs to me that if I just ask myself, what would the House of Representatives look like if he had his way? And it would be absolute chaos. Everyone would talk over everyone else. Everyone would demand a right to speak at any moment that they want to speak. There would be no Robert's Rules of Order or whatever. I mean, it would just be absolute chaos. You have to have a structure and rules in order to further the governmental process.
Look, I mean, everything that individual has done in his life is all about promoting himself and not really helping anybody else. And even when the governor was being sworn in, and he was a duly elected state representative, he was sitting on stage. Instead of being respectful and being up there and being a part of the process and watching the governor, he decided that he wanted to make a point and read a book during the swearing in.
Okay.
And so when you have those individuals, he can do that. But it once again, it shows really what he's there about. He's not really there to do the job of the people or do what he wants or what the people want him to do or benefit Tennessee. He's there all about himself.
I said that was the last thing I'll say, but this is a connected issue. Are there different things that the body can do outside of expulsion? I mean, I understand that the 3 members were expelled from the body. Per the rules, voted on by the body. Well, 2 of the 3, I guess, Jones and Pearson. Johnson survived. So did you, as a body, carve out other options for the House of Representatives?
We do now. When we had to go through the expulsion, there's only 2 options, expulsion and censorship. That was it. There was nothing else. There's no suspension. There was nothing else. So what we have done last year is we put in things that would take away your speaking ability on the House floor and some other things and hold you accountable and do some stuff. And that seemed to work pretty well. There's maybe some added things in there this year. But there's other options we have now that, when we went through all that in that time, there's really only 2 options. We didn't have anything else.
I I don't want to assume what your priorities are as Speaker of the House, and so I won't. What are your priorities as Speaker of the House during this 114th session?
Yeah, I mean, one of them is working with the governor to get school choice passed. I believe in it. You know, I was opposed to it prior to COVID, and then coming out of COVID and watching all the schools shut down, the mask mandates in school, and all the learning that
I didn't
went
realize
away.
this. You kind of flipped your
I flipped
mindset
during
on
COVID
it?
because I saw what was happening. I saw that the parents really didn't have any say with what the school boards were doing to them. I had parents complaining to me all across the state. My kid has this health issue, but they're telling him they have to wear a mask. He can't do it. Or they close schools and they need to be in school, and then you saw the learning loss, and then you watched the parents try to go to the school board meetings, and the school boards just wouldn't listen to them and wouldn't do anything they asked them, and you just kicked them out. And at that point, when you look at it, you're like, look, the parents need an option. The parents have to have an option and to do something that's better for their kid. And so I've kind of evolved on the process, and that's where I've kind of changed. But, you know, helping the governor pass school choice is a priority. And I've got other things, trying to make sure that the General Assembly is doing our job. And I want to make sure that if a department is filing for a federal grant, I'm going to have a bill this year that says it has to go through a certain committee, and that we're going to ask questions and make sure that it's the right fit for us. What's it going to cost? How many people we have to employ? What's the rules? What's the regs? What do we have to do? Because we have all these departments applying for federal grants, but we have no idea what's required of us in it. And so we want to have oversight, and they're going to have to get our approval to do it, to make sure that it's doing what we want it to do. And so that, you know, we're going to be focused on some criminal aspect things. I'm going to file the bill in the local governments. I was serious. People in Memphis, I guess, thought I was joking. But if you're a local government in the state of Tennessee and you violate the state statute or the state constitution, or you do a political referendum, which you can't do, like a vote on a ballot, which is what we don't do in the state of Tennessee, you're violating. And so we're going to hold you accountable, and you're going to have to fix that within a certain number of days, or we're going to withhold your sales tax on you. We can't allow the local governments, especially it came across on Second Amendment, we preempted anything the locals can do, but they still fight, but there's no consequence. And so we're going to add in the consequence.
I mean, people have lost this sense that the state is kind of the rocker authority going up or down.
Right.
When it comes to ultimate, in my opinion, ultimate authority. And the Constitution says anything the Constitution of the United States doesn't address, it's left up to the states, which creates that authority. Well, the state created the federal government. The state also creates the municipalities. So they're kind of that rocker between the two, and people mischaracterize that when they talk about local rule quite a bit.
I mean, they do. They're like, oh, you're just trying to tell them what to do. No, we set them up. We set the priorities. We have the duty. It's a duty for us to oversee the local governments. The local government doesn't have the ability to trump state law or the state constitution. They just can't do it, but they do it anyway. And there's really no consequence we have. We're going to have a consequence very soon, hopefully. You know, and so you sit back and you look. And the thing is people all the time come up to me and go, we need to fight for our states' rights, the 10th Amendment. We need states' rights. And I agree. Then quit taking federal money, right? I mean, you can't say I want states' rights and keep saying I'm going to take federal money. The two do not go together, because you know when you take federal money, it comes with rules and regulations that take away your states' rights.
Well, let me ask you this. Does that apply to FEMA too?
I mean, it could, yeah, very well could, because they're going to force you to do some
strings,
stuff.
Right?
Yeah, it very well could come with strings, or future strings, or other strings, but the states need to know that. And right now, hardly any states are in position to understand all the things that the federal government is passing down, because they're very crafty. And what we found out with Just Education is they send this money down, and they say, hey, if you take this money, you need to put this into your state rules. And so it looks like the state has done it.
Right.
Not the federal government.
Right.
And so they're like, oh, see, the state's doing it to you, not the federal government. Same thing with broadband recently when they were trying to get certain broadband things. They couldn't put price caps on. The federal government could. But what they said is, if you want the funding, you're going to have to put price caps on at the state level. So what do the states try to do? Put on price caps.
I mean, they do it the same way, different versions of the same method. The first example I remember of this when I was growing up was speed limits.
Right.
They never told the states you have to have a 55-mile-an-hour speed limit. They said, that's fine. You can do whatever speed limit you want. You won't get any federal highway dollars, but whatever.
Right.
And, that's the way that they facilitate it.
DUI, same way. Right.
Yeah.
I mean, the alcohol content.
21 after the hour. I want to dive into school choice and just get your explainer on it and get to some questions from the Super Text line, 615-737-9986. Cameron Sexton, Speaker of the House, is in with us on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. It can be hard to find someone that you trust when it comes to big home repairs, such as your heater. Well, what happens if your heater goes out and it's cold outside? I mean, even snow on the ground outside, as there will be tomorrow. Well, you need to call Jeff Eddy in Efficient Heating and Cooling. I've been telling you this for a while. Jeff Eddy gets you the results that you need jiffy quick, never charges you overtime rates on the evening time hours or the weekends because he doesn't believe in it. He knows that your heater doesn't know what time it is, so why should you pay more because it's 7 o'clock at night versus 2 o'clock in the afternoon? Secondarily, he's not going to recommend that you replace your unit if you don't need to. Sadly, a lot of heating and air conditioning companies do this because it's just easier that way. They make more money. It's a cleaner fix. Well, Jeff Eddy understands that you're a baller on a budget, right? So you need your cash in your wallet. You don't need to be spending thousands of dollars on a new unit when you could get another year or two out of your existing unit. So that's another aspect that makes Jeff Eddy apart, sets him apart from the rest of the guys in the heating and air conditioning industry. It's why I recommend him, and I believe in him. EfficientHVAC.net, EfficientHVAC.net, or call 615-784-4424, 784-4424 for Efficient.
Hey, what's up, guys? It's Matt Murphy in the middle of downtown Franklin, Tennessee. We've talked so much about Savory Spice. I thought, why not show you the place? So let's go on in and see what's popping at Savory Spice. As I've always said, you will smell the spices even before you walk in. I can smell them right here in the doorway. Come on in, and let's introduce you to the one and only Holly, who is the owner and proprietor of Savory Spice. Say hey, Holly.
Hello, everyone.
Now, enough about Holly. Let's talk about spicy and easy products like the incredible taco soup, which, as I said, you put this in a crock pot, you put all the ingredients that it tells you to buy right there, you put the spices in, and it's so easy. So if you don't know what you're doing around the kitchen, it's a perfect way to find your way around the kitchen, as is the Mediterranean dill risotto. Now, for the holidays, pumpkin pie spice. What doesn't it have, Holly?
Pumpkin.
Doesn't have any pumpkin in it. That's a fun fact for all of you kids out there. Now,
got the winter storm timeline coming up at 4:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Chris Weber tells me it's time to stop talking off the air and start back talking on the air, which we're going to do right now. Matt Murphy with you on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. We're joined by Cameron Sexton in studio with us this hour, discussing the preview of the 114th General Assembly. The big piece, the big lift, it feels like is going to be the Education Choice Act, or the I guess we're not saying scholarship anymore. We're saying Freedom Act. I get confused about what we're calling it. One way or the other, it gives parents more options and choices available to them and provides funding available to them to make moves when they find themselves in what they consider to be a failing school situation. How do you describe this, and how do you, I don't want to say sell it, but that's the first word that comes to mind, to people who are unfamiliar or hesitant because they believe that it's you guys in government encroaching on the public, or rather the private school system?
Yeah, well, it's not just failing schools. It's you could be in a great school, but it's not the right fit for you, right? And so it would be the parents' decision. What we're really wanting to do is empower the parents to make the decision that's best for their child. And what I will say is it's their tax dollars. Whether you're wealthy or not, it's your tax money. You're paying in, whether you may not be using it because you may be paying private school right now, but you are paying in taxes that's going to education, you know. And so why should we not allow every single parent to have the same opportunity to educate their kid? Right now, if you're wealthy, you can go to a private school and pay for it. But if you're not, you're kind of stuck based on where your zip code is. And is that right? And then if you're in a failing school or a school that's not right fit, should you not be able to do that? If you have the school board, if you're in Memphis and the school board's firing another director of schools and going through this, and they've had 5 decades of bad success, why should you be sentenced to your child to that because you're middle to low income? Should you not have another opportunity that's better for your child? And what I will say is, look, there's a lot of misinformation out there. A lot of misinformation. People like the ESA students aren't performing as good as their peers all throughout the state. That's inaccurate. That they showed.
We all saw that graph last week, right?
Right. I mean, but that growth is comparing ESA students who were already behind, who was below proficiency, who were not proficiency, with kids who are in Maryville and other school systems that are proficient. And so what you have to do is look at the growth that they've had in proficiency compared to the students across the state. They had fourfold, a 300% increase in proficiency in math and English to ESA students compared to all students in the state.
Right. So these students are the ones that the parents find they're in the worst situations, or they're underperforming. There's a reason that they have made the move. And so to suggest that they're going to catch up and overcome and pass
in 2
in
years,
1 year or 2 years
it's not right. So you have to compare it to the growth. They've shown better growth than any student in the state. You look in Shelby County, the growth for English and math with the ESA students compared to that school system they came out of. I had a tweet today, 150% for English or math and 170% for English or math, which I can't remember which number goes with what. Davidson County, it's the same thing. When you take the child out of a bad situation that's not the right fit, where they may not want to go to school, where they're doing all this stuff, and you put them in an environment that they can thrive in, they're going to perform. And that's what you've seen. The best schools, the best public schools in Davidson County, the best high schools in Davidson County that are public are application only.
Mm-hmm.
So what does that mean? That means that's choice.
Right.
Davidson County is selecting certain students to go to their best high schools, and the ones who don't qualify, they're turning away and sending them back to the worst high schools. The cities have choice. If you live outside of a city school system and you live in the county, you can pay tuition to go. You have choice in that situation. But not everybody has choice. The best way to end poverty in our state is to make sure that child has an education experience that fits them. And I think that they should be able to use their tax-paying money to make that decision that's best for them.
A lot of interest in this subject. I want to share with you what some of the folks on the Super Text line are saying in just a moment, right after the news. Cameron Sexton with us, Speaker of the House, talking about school choice and the General Assembly at large. It's 30 after the hour on Super Talk.
4:30 on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top story. So the snow is supposed to start at 2 o'clock in the morning in West Middle Tennessee. And then by 9 o'clock in the morning, it's going to be all over Middle Tennessee. And travel conditions will be deteriorating rapidly. Crews already treating the roads, both TDOT and NDOT. Full forecast and traffic in 5 minutes. Governor Lee getting out ahead of things. He's already issued a state of emergency. That clears the way for resources and agencies to streamline help to where it's needed as fast as possible. Hopefully it's not needed. TDOT and NDOT asking people stay home if possible. Looking ahead to the 114th General Assembly next week, Speaker of the Tennessee House, Cameron Sexton, telling WTN's Matt Murphy one of the issues he'll be championing will be holding local governments accountable when they pass laws counter to state law.
So we're going to hold you accountable, and you're going to have to fix that within a certain number of days, or we're going to withhold your sales tax on you.
In November, several gun rights groups sued the city of Memphis over gun control measures they put before voters. The groups argued that the measures violated Tennessee's preemption law, which limits the authority of local governments to regulate firearms. And Tennessee Attorney General Jonathan Skermetti says a federal judge in Kentucky just delivered what he calls a huge win for Tennessee, for common sense, and for women and girls across America. The judge striking down the Biden administration rule that would require schools and administrators to use pronouns based on a student's gender identity and provide access to girls' bathrooms and locker rooms to boys who identify as female. And it's the end of an era in Tennessee sports broadcasting. Titans radio play-by-play announcer since 1999, Mike Keith will replace Bob Kessling, who served as the voice of the Vols for 25 years. Keith will now be calling Vols football and men's basketball games. And a final farewell to our nation's 39th president.
You may say I'm a dreamer.
Garth Brooks and Trisha Yearwood performing Imagine at former President Jimmy Carter's state funeral this morning at the National Cathedral in Washington. That's the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News. Antioch got a crash reported by police at Antioch Pike and Harding Place, and then Gallatin Pike south at Emmett Avenue, East Nashville, Gallatin Avenue north of Douglas Avenue, and in West Nashville. A crash partially blocking the on-ramp 40 eastbound from 46th Avenue and 51st Avenue. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
I believe in every company that I talk about on this radio station, but I love Grace Point Healthcare and the manner in which they're doing their task, which is getting you good quality medical care at a reasonable price that is a direct pay primary care provider for you in this community. Bottom line is this. I've been saying for a long time that one of the biggest problems in healthcare is that we have too many cooks in the kitchen. We got the insurance companies in the kitchen. We got the pharmaceutical companies in the kitchen. We got all these people in the kitchen. And when's the last time you talked to your doctor about these things? I mean, just one-on-one and made decisions without regard for all of those other people. That's what they do at Grace Point Healthcare. You sit down and you make decisions between you and their medical staff, not the insurance company, not the pharmaceutical companies. And bottom line is this, too. Grace Point treats the whole body with a comprehensive medical approach, meaning that they want to get to the root of the problem. They don't want to simply cover the problem up with another drug or the latest fad item that might not get to the source of the issue. That's what it's all about at Grace Point Healthcare. It is quality healthcare, modern medicine delivered the old-fashioned way. So I encourage you to call them, ask them about their annual payment plans. They call it the Basic Smart Care Plan, just $69 a month, and you get free office visits and free basic labs and diagnostic included in that price. $599-6868, $599-6868 for Grace Point Healthcare.
Hey, what's up, guys? It's Matt Murphy in the middle of downtown Franklin, Tennessee. We've talked so much about Savory Spice. I thought, why not show you the place? So let's go on in and see what's popping at Savory Spice. As I've always said, you will smell the spices even before you walk in. I can smell them right here in the doorway. Come on in, and let's introduce you to the one and only Holly, who is the owner and proprietor of Savory Spice. Say hey, Holly.
Hello, everyone.
Now, enough about Holly. Let's talk about spicy and easy products like the incredible taco soup, which, as I said, you put this in a crock pot, you put all the ingredients that it tells you to buy right there, you put the spices in, and it's so easy. So if you don't know what you're doing around the kitchen, it's a perfect way to find your way around the kitchen, as is the Mediterranean dill risotto. Now, for the holidays, pumpkin pie spice. What doesn't it have, Holly?
Pumpkin.
Doesn't have any pumpkin in it. That's a fun fact for all of you kids out there. Now, if you stop by Savory Spice, either in the Franklin location or at L&L Market, you can get yourself a sample of the dill dip, which is my absolute favorite. Just tell them Matt Murphy sent you to Savory Spice with purchase now. So come by Franklin or L&L Market in Nashville and come see Holly and the entire crew at Savory Spice.
Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Your thoughts coming up on the upcoming legislative session. To the man, Speaker of the House Cameron Sexton, in studio with us, discussing school choice. And let's see, I had this. What do you know what the Range Act is? I don't know what the Range Act is.
I haven't heard of the Range Act.
I don't know of the Range Act. I'll have to look that up. I would answer your question, 2590, but I don't know what the Range Act is. Maybe I should know, and if you want to help us out with that, then so be it. I saw another one. I might be more on board with the school voucher scholarship thing if they did not remove the repercussions for bad failing schools. When this was originally sold to us, there were supposed to be negative consequences for the schools that did not do their job. All of that has apparently gone out the window, and the failing schools will continue to receive money that they've had. Is that the case to your knowledge? And speak to that concern.
Well, yeah, so in the bill, there's a floor aspect where if you have disenrollment, you don't lose money. What I will say is that's what we require the locals to do right now. So if you're the county commission or whoever, the city, and you're putting in $5 million this year and your enrollment drops 100 people, you still have to put in the $5 million. All we're saying is we're going to hold ourselves to the same standard that we're imposing on the locals to do in education as well.
Do you understand? It's my belief that you'll have a few Republicans that aren't on board. Do you understand their criticisms? What do you hear from the members of the body that have concerns about the legislation?
I mean, for the most part, some of them are just opposed to choice in general. I mean, I think for the most part, some are arguing that there should be caps on income, that it should only be for people who certain salaries or certain pay grades. And I'm like, that goes against what I believe as a Republican. We hear all the time as a Republican that we shouldn't penalize you because you're successful. It's your tax dollars. You're paying tax dollars like everybody else. So why do we arbitrarily penalize you for being successful? Don't we want people to be successful? Do we not want them to thrive? And so why do we want to create a system like that? And so if you don't think the right fit is for your child to go to that public school, and someone who's wealthy may want them to go to the public school, whether it's Oak Ridge or Collierville or Arlington, and that's great. But should we really penalize you because you make too much money, or should the choice be for everybody?
The nuts and bolts, 20,000 scholarships, 7,000 per. So we've already set the money into the budget, right? $140 million.
Mm-hmm, we did.
And it's my understanding the first 10,000 would be needs based.
It would.
And then it opens up to
the last 10,000.
to all applicants. What happens if it's a wild success and you fill those 20,000? Is there room for expansion?
There's protection in there. It says if 75% of the scholarships are used, then we can expand it based on the appropriation, so we can increase it. So there's a safeguard in there. It doesn't automatically increase, and you have to appropriate money to increase it. So it's not like it's going to – a lot of people are like, oh, this is going to bankrupt the state. That's not what's going to happen because there's safeguards in it, and you can expand it, but it has to be appropriated money if it's there. There's a lot of misinformation about Arizona. The people are saying, oh, Arizona, they bankrupted. No, they didn't. They had a governor who spent too much money that bankrupted the state. They have an education reserve fund that has more money in it than they've ever had. It's not the choice that's bankrupting the state. It's the governor spending on other things other than education.
8371 here on the super text line goes to the heart of the biggest criticism generally that I hear from more conservative-minded individuals, and it is, does the General Assembly right now have the ability to regulate private schools and homeschools already?
Yeah, I mean, look.
If you wanted to, you could do that already, right?
We have the capability to sell the Capitol. I mean, so we do. I mean, theoretically, the General Assembly, they can pass a law.
Because the idea is this is y'all's way to be real sneaky and get into the private schools.
Look, the homeschoolers have been asked. There's people like, oh, homeschoolers are out of this. They should be in it. Well, the Homeschooler Association said we don't want in it. So we took them out. We listened to them. We took them out. To your question earlier, if you're a private school, you do not have to take the scholarship. It's your choice. Right? So whether there's things in it or not, and there's nothing in there that we're doing to the private schools that make them do anything other than say they have to give some type of national assessment. That could be the TCAP or it could be something else. But
you just need to see some sort of results.
But are you really going to send your kid to a private school and pay all that money if you're paying it for yourself and not have them give them some type of assessment that as a parent, you know where that child stands? Almost every private school that I know gives some type of assessment to the parent. Sometimes it's the Iowa test. There's other tests to let the parents understand where they are. William Slater, who's a great member, was a headmaster at a private school. They gave a national assessment every year, and their kids did great. So we're not forcing them to use the TCAP or anything. What we're saying is they just have to give some type of national assessment, and then they provide some of the information back so we can make sure that student is having success.
I think 8065 goes to the heart of, and maybe it's not what this bill is addressing, but it's a broader question, and that is this. I understand that this gives parents more opportunity to figure out what is best for their children and get them in a better, more successful situation. But does it really address the failure of the system that they may find themselves in? In other words, are we also holding some of those failing schools while we're giving parents an ability to make different decisions for them and their family members without, the impediment of money being in the way? Are we holding the failing public schools accountable as well?
So let's go back to the Shelby County example. In Shelby County, what we have is we've had a historic K-12 education system that has been terrible. We had the citizens in Collierville, Germantown, Arlington, Lakeland all come to us about 10, 12 years ago and say, we want to demerge from Shelby County schools. We want to have a better opportunity for our community. We passed legislation to allow them to demerge and have schools, to give their children a different opportunity. We have charter schools in Shelby County. The charter schools are outperforming the regular schools, especially the ones being run by non-public entities, but it's still a public charter school. They're outperforming the school system. We've had choice in Shelby County now for 4 years. And so we've had thousands of students who have used choice. So what has happened to the Shelby County schools this year? There was an article that for the first time, over 80 schools in Shelby County have improved their grades. So you hold them accountable because there's competition. Parents have the capability of sending their child somewhere else. The best way to improve K through 12, you can keep throwing money in it all day long. All day long, keep throwing money in it, and your return on investment is not going to be there. It's not all about money. And so you have to do a better job.
I haven't heard anyone pretend that this is an end-all, be-all, that it's going to fix all of every corner of the state of Tennessee. And it goes to the heart of it when I hear from Matt, who says, I'd love to hear Cameron answer how this benefits rural communities that don't necessarily have the same access to private education.
That's a great question. Let me just say, so if nothing ever changes, how does it change? If you don't ever allow someone to have choice, and you stay exactly how you are, how are the rural communities going to change?
So it might not benefit you as much as if
Today,
you were in an urban community or an urban setting, but it's
in the future it will. Because, look, at the end of the day, when the parents now are in control of their education dollars and the individuals are looking at these places where there's a need, today you may not have a private school in a rural area. 3 years from now, you very well away. You probably will, because they know that parents now have the capability to afford it. And so you have more opportunity. You have more ability for success. The best way to stay status quo is never to change anything, never to upset anything. The school systems are about protectionism. They're about protectionism. They deny charter schools every single day. They don't want charter schools. They oppose choice every single day. They do not want...
They want a monopoly.
They don't want anything to come in. If you never allow any door to open, you're never going to affect change in rural, urban, or suburban areas.
And the other objection, and I'm getting several of the a version of this question, and so I'll kind of combine them into one, is the $7,000 amount. 7808, for example. Isn't this kind of a tease for lower income people who would love to get their kids out of a failing school, love to get their kids in a private school, but the private schools cost more than the voucher? What do you say to them?
Right now, there's kids in private school who are fully funded through a scholarship to go to that private school. They're paying the tuition for a lot of students. They are giving scholarships for kids to go to those private schools. So right now, there's kids who are not paying full tuition. Thinking that every kid in that school is paying full tuition is not happening. What can happen is you're giving them the capability of at least having the chance to afford it, but they could also get a scholarship. That school can now offer more scholarships to cover that cost. They could do more opportunities for those kids. They can expand because now that family has $7,000 and they can, instead of giving 10 scholarships, they can give 20 now.
And look, I'm not here as an advocate, I'm just trying to get answers from you, but if I'm the head of a private school and I'm trying to compete with some of these other private schools and trying to do the best I can, and I've got, 20% open enrollment, I've got 20% of my seats are available, then is it possible that I adjust my cost if I figure out if the math works for me to lower cost so I can get some of those scholarship-based students in?
Almost every private school has donors there who are trying to give kids an opportunity, but they're paying the full cost.
Right.
This allows at least to have the discussion of allowing them to offer more with currently what they're doing. And so some families, you're assuming they can't afford this. Say the average tuition, I think, in the state is like maybe $12,000. So they might not be able to afford $12,000. Can the family now afford $5,000 and with the $7,000? Does that help them better? Can the school help make up $2,500 so they only pay $2,500? Look, all these questions are about trying to limit the opportunity. And so what I would say, if we said, you know what, we're going to give $14,000, would you be for it at that point? Is it 15? Tell me what number that is. Does that mean that you'll be for it at this point? What I find out a lot of times from Democrats out there is they throw out a number. I was on TV in Knoxville, and the guy said, well, 7,000 is not enough. And I just went through the scenario like I did with you. And I said, but let me ask you, if it was 14,000, would you be for it?
And?
That's about what you heard right there.
Yeah,
Silence,
just
right?
nothing.
Because it's a false narrative. Look, what I do know is you have to start somewhere, but you have to start with giving that child and that family an opportunity.
8715 represents 8715. Thank you for listening. I'm not suggesting you're anything but an honest actor here, but he represents what I would call the purity keyboard warriors on this subject. When he says Tennessee doesn't want this is a redistribution of wealth. How do you respond to that?
Well, I think you look at every poll, the Vanderbilt poll, which is
even the Vandy poll,
was left-leaning, says that people in Tennessee want it. The Beacon Center ran 2 polls. People want it. I've seen polls in the districts where people want it. I don't believe in that narrative. I think Tennesseans want to have the opportunity. When you talk about COVID and what happened, parents were wanting to pull their kids out of public school and send them somewhere else. They just couldn't. There was no open spots, and there was limited funds to go there. And so you have to have more opportunities. Look, the most successful state that has total choice, and when I say choice, they have public, they have charter, and they have school. I think down there vouchers. That's Florida. Their education attainment level is a lot higher than ours. You know how much more per pupil they spend than us? A couple $100.
So it's attainable for the amount that we're spending
It's
right now.
attainable, but you have to give people the opportunity. And I was listening the other day, and you had that teacher that called in, remember, and he was complaining about that you shouldn't be graded on the TCAP, yet it's one test and so forth.
Yeah.
It should be based on the relationships and all this. Well, if you're in sales, Matt, and I go out and I make all my calls every day, and I show them the brochure every day, and I try to make a sale every day, but at the end of the month, I'm 30% below what my goal is. Are you going to grade me that, hey, Cameron, you know what? You did great. You built the relationships. You did this, but you're not meeting the goal. Is that success? No. The success is we need our kids to be proficient in reading the math and be prepared to take a job. When you talk to businesses, they do not have the soft skills to be successful. K through 12 is not working for everybody, but not everybody has the same opportunity.
When we come back, final segment, I'll find out from Cameron how functionally he expects this to go down in the General Assembly and the other priorities for the Speaker of the House. That's coming up next. Super Talk 99.7 WTN. The Dr. Gill Center for Back, Neck, and Chronic Pain Relief is located in Franklin. It was one of the first businesses that I stopped in when I first came to Nashville, Tennessee, because I had debilitating back pain. Friends, I had it coming both ways, right? I had it at the top of my neck, and I had it in the base of my lower back, and I didn't know how I was going to get out of the situation I was in. I thought that I couldn't play golf anymore, and I thought that it was going to be a permanent situation that would eventually lead to surgery. Then I met Dr. Gill, Dr. Wendy, Dr. V, Dr. Dominic, and the rest of the team at the Dr. Gill Center, and they're so good at what they do. And they showed me a different way. With spinal decompression technology, my upper back doesn't hurt anymore at all. I thought it was stress, and it was a compression right in my upper back, right in my neck area that we decompressed through a series of spinal decompressions, and it fixed the problem. My lower back is a little more of a long-term situation, but I get to play golf on a regular basis when the weather's right because of the Dr. Gill Center. So whether it's back pain, neck pain, knee pain, hip pain, elbow pain, wherever it hurts, the Dr. Gill Center is here for you. Give them a call today or go to callmepainfree.com. That's callmepainfree.com. Here's the number, 615-882-4838, 882-4838 for the Dr. Gill Center.
The guaranteed offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lock boxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.
We'll let you know if there's any changes to the winter storm timeline coming up at 5 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you much, Ken Weaver, Matt Murphy, and you. Cameron Sexton in with us for a few more moments. Enjoying the conversation, dominated to a certain degree about the Education Freedom Act. I think that's the way it's being characterized. Last year, so let's deal with the function of the body. When y'all go into session, last year, there seemed to be just a different approach between the House and the Senate. Not saying who was right and who was wrong, but it was just a different perspective about how to move forward with it. Came to something of an impasse. Do you feel comfortable that some of those issues have been resolved moving into the session?
Yeah, we're much more closely aligned. This time we took some time, let some cooler heads prevail, and then came back, and we're very close. And so, we're looking forward to session, or if the governor decides to go a different direction on getting this passed for Tennesseans.
What does it look like functionally? Because you go into the general, I've heard a lot of things, and I am certain that there are some things you can tell me and some things that you have no interest in telling me today on the radio. But I've heard a lot of things. I've heard the possibility the governor might want a special session to dedicate ourselves strictly to this issue before we get to other issues. I'm sure you've heard the same things. You probably have a lot more connection with all of these conversations than I do. What can you tell us?
Yeah, look, it's the governor's call. And, the governor has a constitutional ability or authority to call a special session just if he wants to. The House and Senate can do it, but it takes so many members of the House and the Senate to call it with both speakers. We've only done it once now a few years ago. So if the governor wants to do it, we're going to go in and go do it. I would rather get it over with than let it bog down 4 months in there and just have the conversation. Let's all debate it out and let's see what happens. But it's the governor's call, and I think we'll have the votes, and so I look forward to the conversation. And look, I know there's people out there who just don't believe in choice, and that's fine. I get it. I was there one day. I'm not there today. I just think that if we're trying to reduce poverty in our state, the only way you do it is through education. And all these people who argued healthcare freedom back in the day during COVID, I want healthcare freedom. I want my freedom. They talk to me all the time about freedom. Why can we not have education freedom in the state? Why can the parents not make the decision that's best for their kid instead of having to go to the zip code that they're destined to go to and use their tax dollars to make a different investment in education for their child? Cameron,
thank you for being willing to come on, spend an hour with us. We know we appreciate it. We look forward to talking to you during the session. Best of luck as it gets started next week.
Good sledding tomorrow.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, man, oh man, it's going to be a lot of fun. And we got a lot of hills to do it on as well. All right, it's 5 o'clock, Super Talk 99.7 WTN. We'll get into it with you in just a moment on the Matt Murphy Show. Stand by.
Five o'clock on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. The snow starts around 2 o'clock in the morning in West Middle Tennessee. Then it'll be over all of Middle Tennessee by 9 o'clock in the morning. Travel conditions will deteriorate rapidly. Crews already treating the roads. And now Fox 17 has a report that says Nashville may be in for up to 7 inches instead of 6 inches of snow. Full forecast and traffic in 5 minutes. Looking ahead to next week's 114th General Assembly, Speaker of the Tennessee House Cameron Sexton just told WTN's Matt Murphy Show he's going to file a bill that withholds sales tax revenue when local governments pass laws counter to state law, like the Memphis gun control referendum on November 5th.
We can't allow the local governments, especially it came across on the Second Amendment, we preempted anything the locals can do. But they still fight, but there's no consequence. And so we're going to add in the consequence.
Yeah, Memphis put gun control measures on the November ballot that banned carrying handguns without a valid permit, a ban on assault rifles, and a provision that creates extreme risk orders of protection that would allow weapons to be confiscated from anyone deemed a threat to themselves or others by a judge. A Biden administration rule requiring teachers and administrators use pronouns based on students' gender identity is blocked. So is providing access to girls' locker rooms and bathrooms to boys who identify as female. That's according to Tennessee Attorney General Jonathan Skrmetti, who led 23 other state attorneys general against the Biden administration's attempt to include gender identity under sex discrimination in Title IX. The end of an era in Tennessee sports broadcasting.
Touchdown, Titans!
Titans broadcaster Mike Keith leaving the team to become the next voice of the Vols. Keith will be leading play-by-play. He will be the lead play-by-play announcer for Tennessee football and basketball games. And the hemp industry in Tennessee can legally sell products that provide a marijuana-type high until February 18th. That's when a judge in Nashville is expected to decide a lawsuit which growers and sellers filed to block a State Department of Agriculture rule that the growers and sellers say will put them out of business because of the way the level of THC, the part that provides the high, will be regulated. Meanwhile, state lawmakers seem poised to look at making marijuana legal for medicinal purposes, according to State Senate Majority Leader Jack Johnson on WTN's Nashville's Morning News.
And yes, we have no problem. If there's a clear evidence when someone is suffering and there is a medicinal use and they can benefit from the use of these products, we will absolutely look at that and make that legal for them.
Mortgage rates continuing to rise, getting closer to 7% with the 30-year fixed at 6.93%, according to the big mortgage corporation Freddie Mac's weekly numbers. That's the highest since July. One reason is that the mortgage market is reacting to the signal by the Federal Reserve, changing its forecast from 4 interest rate cuts to 2 this year. Plus, demand for homes remains strong as the economy remains stable. That's the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
Hello, friends. It's Matt Murphy. 2 locations for Savory Spice that you need to know about. You need to know about Savory Spice. Are you not familiar? Have you not been in? Oh, you smell the smells. I mean, the delicious spices and different flavors that you can get from Savory Spice. Any spice imaginable that you use for cooking, any spice imaginable that you bake with, or you put in a stew or a chili, or you put in your favorite dish, whatever it might be. I'm talking salts and seasonings and blends and spices. They have them at Savory Spice. Plus, they're locally owned. I absolutely love that. They get the freshest of the fresh when it comes to the spices. I absolutely love that. You know, you get to a point in your life where you're like, I'm not going to buy the bottom of the barrel meat item, or I'm going to shop at the farmer's market to get the fresh veggies. Let's do this with our spices. You up your food game by getting a better cut of meat. You need to up your spice game by getting to Savory Spice. Now, those 2 locations, one, L&L Market right on Charlotte Pike. Go by and see them there. Or in Franklin, just off the square. Say hello to Holly or David or any of the crew at Savory Spice, and be sure to tell them that I sent you to the one and only Savory Spice.
All right, we've got some problems popping up on I-24. Let's start in South Nashville. 24 eastbound got a crash reported by police there at Murfreesboro Pike. Then 24 westbound at Bell Road. The left shoulder is blocked. TDOT reporting. Antioch, 24 westbound, right after Harding Place. Police on the scene there. In West Nashville, a crash blocking the on-ramp. 40 eastbound, that is from 46th and 51st. 40 eastbound on-ramp from 28th Avenue, partially blocked by a crash there in Hadley. And then Nolensville Pike, just south of Haywood Lane, police working a crash. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
I am a serious cause of global warming with all of the hot air that comes toward this microphone on a daily basis. My name is Matt Murphy, and we host a little gathering, call it the Matt Murphy Radio Show. Thank you for being a part of it. There's Chris Weber. He's behind the glass, making sure that everything that comes out of our speaker sounds as good as humanly possible. Still in studio is Ken Weaver. He's behind the second pane of glass in News Closet B, capably gathering headlines and preparing for the big snow that is on the way. Everybody ready for it? Big snow.
I'm ready.
I'm ready.
Looks like
Weber's
Fox
not ready.
17's reporting could be a little bit more than we first anticipated.
Oh, what does that mean, Ken
That
Weaver?
could be 7 inches here in Nashville. Not just 4 to 6.
I'm just going to be quiet because the joke, I become 13 and the jokes write themselves, and I'm not going to do it.
I just do the news, boys.
I got that. So we went from like 2 days ago. Am I remembering this right? 2 days ago, it was like 2 to 4.
Yeah, maybe 2 to 3 inches.
Uh-huh. And I just heard Dan Thomas say, 5 inches. Yeah, man. And now we're up to 7 inches?
Yeah, according to a report that an alert that I got on my phone from Fox 17.
Well, there you go.
They're just trying to one-up each other. That's what it is.
It comes a point where you start wondering. I said this yesterday. I want to say it again. I'm just glad that we live in an area of the world because I lived in Birmingham, Alabama for 20 years. 19 years. I lived in Alabama for 21 total years. Montgomery for 2 and then Birmingham for 19. And living in Alabama, now Montgomery, there wasn't really a question. They never got snow. But in Birmingham seemed to always be on that line where they were like, we don't know. Maybe, maybe not. Snow, maybe. Wintry mix, maybe. We don't know. It was always a big maybe. But by the time you got to 24 hours before the event, it was, oh, yeah, it's going to snow. Oh, yeah, sure. Because they did that thing where they wanted to make it happen. And they know that the people wanted it to happen. Well, and then it didn't happen. And then everybody's upset and everybody's disappointed. And they get a case of what I would refer to as, they would get a case of the ass. Which stands, hold on, you nasty people. That stands for absent snow syndrome. When people are promised to snow or they feel like they're promised snow and they don't get any, well, they get a case of absent snow syndrome. and it can cause problems in families and local communities when over there they got some snow and we didn't get any snow. Why did they get snow and we didn't get snow? But we're going to get snow.
Yep.
That's the nice thing. We don't have to worry about that. It's snowing. If you're listening, maybe obviously if you're listening online, I can't speak for you. But if you're listening on the radio, we get down to the Alabama line, but I think they're getting snow too down there.
I think they'll get some, yeah.
No, if you're listening to us on the radio, you're getting some snow over the next 24 hours or so. Are you at all concerned with, Ken doesn't have to worry about going home because he's going to broadcast from the Southern News Closet Command in Murfreesboro tomorrow.
Yeah, little breakfast nook.
Yeah, in the breakfast nook, in the little, in the side nook. Does the family like it when you do that, Ken?
They don't mind.
Yeah.
Yeah, they stay upstairs, come down every now and then. You might hear them from time to time.
Mm-hmm. Talking in the mouth. Who drank all the coffee? They'll say.
They'll be getting ice or something like that, turning the microwave on.
Hear the water in the background.
Yeah.
What about Fritz the wiener dog? Is Fritz the little wiener dog, is he vocal when you're at home?
Little Fritz is vocal whenever the doorbell rings or if he hears the doorbell ring on the TV.
Oh, by the way, I'm glad you brought that up because I wanted to make an announcement. It's an official Murphy Show declaration.
Uh-oh.
And we need a horn for this. I had a horn. I didn't tell you to save the horn. It's like, bum, 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 bum. We had one on the wall. Bell probably killed it.
Yeah, I think I had something somewhere.
But it's like, bum, 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 like one of those official declaratory horns.
Yeah.
Because it's a Murphy Show rule. Murphy's Law, number 457. And it is, if you are selling me a product as the owner of 2 lovely dogs, Larry Munson and Mrs. Beasley, Ken, I think you're going to get behind this one. Okay. I think you're going to get behind Murphy Law number 473.
All right.
If you're selling a product on my television and in the sale of your product you include a doorbell, I'm not buying what you're selling. Y'all need to learn to not put the doorbell on your stupid commercial that makes my dogs go mentally insane.
Yeah.
Yeah, mine used to do that too until he lost his hearing.
Oh, how old is yours?
Oh, he's gone.
Oh, is it?
Yeah,
he lost
he
him?
was 16.
When did you lose him?
It's been 2.5 years ago.
Are y'all going to do something else?
Probably, but we haven't made a decision.
You
yet.
just let it.
Yeah,
Just let it mellow.
Yeah, we're kind of getting to the stage now where we're getting ready. It was tough though. We didn't want to dive back into it again. It was not good because we had him for
tough.
16 years. So
yeah, I get it. I knew a great couple that I'm still friends with them. I met them in Birmingham, and he had a dog named Einstein that he brought into the marriage. She had a cat. They got married. Einstein lived to, I think, 13 years of age, and Einstein died, and it broke Pat up enough that he told me, he said, "I'm never getting another dog."
Yeah.
And I said, "Oh, come on, Pat." I said, "You love dogs. You love animals. You'll be okay." And I tried to kind of say, just let it sit. And it's been 15 years. And he was like, "Nope, I can't go through it again."
Yeah.
And I get it.
It's tough.
So it is. It's a
very
tough one. But yeah, you'll come around.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I love dogs too much.
Yeah, I like it.
And you can't get mad at them for barking whenever they hear something.
No, I mean
because they're just doing what they're wired to do.
Well,
they're letting you know something's up.
Saying you can't, that sounds like a challenge. But, yeah, I mean, I get it, though. You know, what you have to do, Ken, you're right, stop yourself. You know, if they hear a knock, if there's a knock on a door on your television or a doorbell on your television and they bark at that, well, if you're upstairs in the shower and somebody's knocking on the door to test whether you're home or not to see if they're going to break in or whatever it might be, don't you want, I mean, that's part of what you want in a little dog, right? You want that alert system, that alarm system.
Yeah.
So, yeah, be careful what you wish for. If you train them not to bark, well, they might just lay there while they step over them.
That's right.
Right.
That would be my dogs. They bark and they're all tough, but I don't care who walks through the door. If they're going to kill you or attack you, they're going to do it with their tongues.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Licking you to death.
Yeah. Fritz will bite your toe.
It's as high up as he can reach.
Yeah.
Is he one of those that he gets tough? And
if he was to get tough, that's about all he could do. He might grab your ankle or something like that, but more than likely, he's just going to run back in the living room and hop there in his little bed with his stuffed pickle and burrow.
Just make sure you don't get the stuffed pickle. That's the big thing.
Yeah, he's got a little donkey. He chews its ass all the time.
Munson's been pulling on his dog nog. He got over Christmas.
Oh, yeah.
He got a nice bottle of a squeaky toy dog nog.
Oh,
That's what it's
yeah.
called. He's been pulling, and so he'll walk through the house and he's got the top of the bottle in his mouth. He's like, man,
Tying one on.
hitting the sauce there, buddy boy. All right, let's get into our. So clearly we've got somewhere in the neighborhood of 4, 5, 6, 7 inches. Who knows? It's going to be snowing for you and in your neck of the woods, and y'all enjoy it. Just batten down the hatches. You know, for a lot of people that are already off work tomorrow, we are not. We will be here for you for the duration. Whether we're at the Southern Command or in studio, we'll be in studio tomorrow. I will, and I think Weber will be here as well. Getting home might be a little bit tricky, but then you got the weekend to enjoy the snowfall. And let me tell you something. In the state of Tennessee, there's some good sledding opportunities, and they were selling those sleds at the Sam's Club. Let me tell you, just the other day.
Oh yeah,
yeah, $49.95 a pop, and they were going like hotcakes, baby. Wow.
I got one in my garage. I'll sell it to you for $65. I don't know. I'll start the bidding there.
65. That's more than that. Is it a sled with a bottom on it?
No,
or do you got those?
It's a the sheet of plastic with a rope on it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what they were selling for $49.95 at Sam's Club. I mean, hard plastic, but it was just
just plastic with a piece of rope.
Yeah. I'm like, man. I mean, I guess they know their audience.
Oh yeah.
They were because you can't find the killer sleds anymore. The quote unquote toboggans.
The ones with the rails.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And because apparently, a couple kids lose an arm or a leg, and
it could be dangerous.
Yeah, I'm sure. All right, so we will get to the other side of the the country in just a moment with regard to just the awfulness that's going on in California. Gavin Newsom is lying to his constituents, claiming that he's on the phone with President Donald Trump when he doesn't even have cell service. I've got that audio for you. And I'm fascinated with the amount of liberals. I mean, do you for a moment, I mean, just imagine, if you will, that this is going on in an area of Florida. Let's just say Florida. That we've got wildfires at West Palm Beach, Florida, or Naples, Florida, or some, suburb of Tampa. And that at the beginning stages of all of this, you saw the governor of the state of Florida, Ron DeSantis, decide that he was going to go out of the country. He was going to go to, Spain or whatever to do a tourism junket. And Florida's burning, and he takes the mayor of Tampa with him. And they go off to wherever they are. Do you think for a moment that the mainstream media would give Ron DeSantis or a Republican mayor of a Republican community the benefit of the doubt with regard to what's going on in their communities? Or do you think they would be hammering them on the inefficiency and ineffective nature of what they are doing in response to the natural disaster, which is, of course, nothing like what the mainstream media is doing for Los Angeles County? They're just giving them a complete pass. Karen Bass apparently has done nothing wrong. Well, she has done things wrong. She laid the groundwork for all of this to happen. She did not do anything preventative in nature. I compared it to New Orleans yesterday, and I stand by that comparison. That while the New Orleans New Year's Day massacre was a disaster made by a radicalized Muslim who believed in the mantra, believed in the template set forth by ISIS that you subjugate or destroy the infidel, and he did so on New Year's Day. Now, I don't pretend that you can see every single one of those radicalized individuals independently in the United States of America. We believe in freedom too much, but you know what you can do? You can generally prepare for an attack of that sort, and the city of New Orleans was woefully unprepared. And one would think that they would be prepared for these types of things, especially considering the amount of tourism that they get, the draw, the honeypot that they are on Bourbon Street and beyond. Same thing for Lower Broadway, by the way. And if Freddie O'Connell and the Metro Nashville Police Department and the rest of the public officials in the city of Nashville don't have an action plan ready to go in the aftermath of the Christmas Eve bombing on 2nd, in the aftermath of what we saw on Bourbon on New Year's Day, then they're not doing it right. I would hope that they would have an action plan. Sadly, in New Orleans, they just kind of threw he defeated our, we knew that the plates would be down because we're replacing the bollards, and we knew that that was a problem. But, we had a police car there, and he just drove around it. Oh, you think? What about 2 police cars? What about those yellow items that you had? I forget what they're called, those things that you had in stock that the superintendent didn't know anything about. Well, similarly to that, in California, you have a situation where they're shrugging their shoulders as if there's never been wildfires in California, as if they don't understand what drought is, and they don't understand what their reservoirs are for. They just don't understand Santa Ana winds. This has just never happened before. It's unprecedented. It's not unprecedented. And if you claim to love the environment the way that you do, is this the way that you're going to treat it? Whatever you're doing, if you really love the environment, whatever you're doing in California isn't working. And maybe it's time to do something different. In the meantime, we got a tremendous amount of response from our conversation with Cameron Sexton, primarily about school choice in the state of Tennessee. And I understand that some of you hate it, don't like it one bit. I'm going to get to those responses on the Super Text line in a moment. Jay, you'll be next as well. It's 21 after the hour on Super Talk.
Savory Spice. Or no, Dr. Boss. Made my ears perk up. The Chris Ham Show. Tomorrow from 9 to 11 on Super Talk 99.7 WGN.
I get asked all the time, primarily by liberals, how do you sleep at night, Murphy? And I think I sleep very well. Thank you very much. Primarily because of Dr. Stephen Pass, Dr. Brian McLaughlin, and the Sleep Apnea and TMJ Solution Center. I mean, my conscience is clean. Don't you worry about that. But now my airways are clean as well. Thank you to the FDA-approved oral device that was created by Dr. Stephen Past specifically for me, that holds my jaw forward to help me be able to breathe better and snore less. This device is incredible, right? I never could have worn a CPAP machine, and I know that. I mean, I'm aware of it. My brother has one, and I'm trying to get him on the FDA-approved oral device because I think it's just far superior to anything else on the market, for me at least, because it holds the jaw forward. It does what it needs to do. It cleans that airway up, and I breathe easily. I snore less, and I sleep better. I get more energy in the morning. Thank you to Dr. Stephen Past, Dr. Brian McLaughlin, and the Sleep Apnea and TMJ Solutions Center. They're in network for BCBS, Aetna, Cigna, United Healthcare, Medicare, TRICARE for the military, so you don't have to worry on that front. And they have 2 locations to serve you. All it takes is a communication from you. Go to drposs.com. That's drposs.com for more information about the incredible Sleep Apnea and TMJ Solution Center.
The guaranteed offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lock boxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.
Winter storm update. We have some new snow totals predictions coming up. These stories and more at 5:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
I was proud of our community, by the way. When I went out earlier today, I needed a tarp. What I do is, for the dogs don't like the snow. They don't like going to the bathroom on the snow. They'll do it, but, they're little paws. So I'll take I've got 2 large tarps, and I lost my other tarp. So I've got 2 large tarps that are like, 10 by 12. And I put them out on the backyard, and I stake them down.
Mm-hmm.
And so the snow falls on top of the tarps. Well, you just sweep the snow off the tarp, and then you lift the tarp, and you got ground.
Yeah, that's smart thinking.
Yeah, for the dogs to go to the bathroom. Similarly, if you've got decking and you want an avenue to walk on for your dogs, and you've got a deck area and the snow gets up on the deck area, if you got cardboard boxes, just undo cardboard boxes and lay the cardboard down on the deck, and then you just lift the cardboard up and you got a path, and you don't have to shovel the snow. So I needed an extra tarp because what I will do tomorrow, you'll see it, Chris Webber, when you get here.
Okay.
I take a tarp and I'll put it over the front windshield of the truck.
Ooh.
And I think they make fancy $58 versions of this, but for me, a $7 tarp at Harbor Freight works just fine.
Does the trick.
But I had used my tarps for the dogs, and so I needed to go by Harbor Freight. I predicted when I pulled in Harbor Freight, I pulled in the one on Lebanon Pike. And I also needed batteries because just in case I've got a battery-powered, like, bigger lantern that takes D batteries, and I needed more D batteries for it. And I predicted, just in my own mind, that there would have been a run. They had plenty. I was very proud of Middle Tennessee.
Yeah, very good.
I mean, maybe they're just not shopping at Harbor Freight. They're going to the other big box stores. But plenty of tarps, plenty of batteries, plenty of other items that one would need for a snow situation. I did not see any sleds, plastic or otherwise. So maybe they're out of sleds. But I was kind of proud of Middle Tennessee.
Yeah,
where we are prepared and not freaking out. Is that the case at the local groceries? Maybe
I've heard bad things. I went to Publix this morning up in White House, and it was fine.
Everything was okay.
Yeah.
Give us a report on the Super Text line, 615-737-9986. We need a milk and bread report.
Toilet paper, too.
NTP from the listening audience of Super Talk 99.7 WTN. In the meantime, Jay, it's your turn. Thank you for holding, Jay. How are you?
Doing good, buddy. How are you?
I'm great. Thank you.
Hey, quick question. I kind of came in on Cameron's conversation about halfway through it, but I know when Haslam was originally talking about the school choice program, the money and the scholarships and stuff, those private schools weren't going to be held to the same standard as the public schools with the iReady and the TCAP testing. Has that changed? I didn't know if he talked about that.
They don't require specifically TCAP testing. They require some sort of nationally accredited test just to illustrate performance, which I think most of the private schools already do testing. But I think there is a testing requirement, but it's not TCAP.
I guess my question is, how do you know if you're not using the same test, the same bar? I guess how do you know if one is really better than the other? That's my question.
I mean the same way that we. I mean I would say the same way that we know whether privates. Did I lose you? Oh, you're still there. The same way that I know that private schools are better than public schools now. It's the same situation happens now. The private schools aren't required to do the TCAP test now.
Well, I guess
the answer is you don't. But the market will determine that, right? So if I do not believe that the educational performance of a private school is benefiting my child in the way that I thought it would benefit my child, isn't it incumbent upon the parent to be on top of that situation?
Yeah, but if you're not using the same, comparing apples to apples, you really can't say if one's better than the other. That's my only point.
Well, let me ask you this, Jay. Do you think private schools outperform public schools?
I don't know. If they could, you have to have the same benchmarks. If you don't, you don't know.
Here's what I would suggest. I would suggest that really smart people wouldn't spend thousands and thousands of dollars sending their children to private educational opportunities if they did not see the results of their money.
Okay, but again, going back to the same point, how is $7,000 a year going to pay for these private schools that are $15,000 to $20,000 a semester?
Well, I mean, nothing requires the private schools to take the money, the scholarships.
Well, no, I understand it. I'm just saying getting a check for $7,000 is not going to ease the burden of what I call a high-quality private school like Davidson Academy, things like that.
Well, no, obviously, there are some private schools that would remain out of reach if you had to cover the bill on your own. But what Cameron said, and it's just what he said, and I'll just deliver I'm the messenger in this regard, that Many of these private schools also provide scholarship opportunities. Many of them have benefactors that offer those scholarships for the purpose of getting underprivileged children within the private schools. This could be a supplement to some of those scholarship monies that would allow those scholarships to go even further for more children.
Sure, I understand. Okay, thanks, man.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you. I mean, these are the types of conversations we need to have in advance of this vote, because bottom line is this: you need to let your representative know how you expect your representative to vote. That's the way that it works in a representative democracy. And if enough people like you say you don't like it, I promise your representative won't vote for it. It's 33 after the hour. I am late on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Snow is supposed to start around 2 o'clock in the morning in West Middle Tennessee. It's going to be over all of Middle Tennessee by 9 o'clock tomorrow morning, and travel conditions will be deteriorating rapidly as it falls. Now, there is a report from Fox 17 that some places in Middle Tennessee could see up to 8 inches before it's all said and done. Crews are already treating the roads, both TDOT and NDOT. Governor Lee's issued a state of emergency ahead of the storm to make sure resources and agencies are streamlined to get help to where it's needed as fast as possible. TDOT and NDOT asking people stay home if possible. And Channel 4's Brendan Tierney went out there to see if there's still time to get to the store before the storm hits.
There's been a constant stream of people coming in and out of the Kroger here in West Nashville today. We can tell you it's not nearly as mobbed as it was earlier in the week. Shoppers told us that they wanted to make sure they had enough food in the house for the snowstorm tomorrow and going into the weekend. But some things like eggs, bread, and milk were sold out in a lot of stores. We saw some families also trying to stock up on snacks, expecting their kids to be out of school and playing in the snow.
Some hardware store managers say they've seen a steady stream of customers.
Yeah, it's been pretty busy, steady all morning. You know, people getting plenty of ice melt, scrapers, car de-icer, windshield washer de-icer, like I said, sleds and salt.
Yeah, some stores have run out of shovels. Right now in Tennessee, State Attorney General Jonathan Skrmetti says it's another massive win for Tennessee and the country after a federal judge in Kentucky blocked the Biden administration changes to Title IX that would have required teachers and administrators to use pronouns that do not align with a student's biological sex. It also means schools do not have to allow boys who identify as girls to use girls' bathrooms or locker rooms. That's the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News. All right, got that crash. 40 eastbound at Fessler's Lane, then 440 westbound at Murphy Road. That's going to be exit 1. In Spring Hill, the left lane is blocked. 65 southbound at 840 due to a crash. And in Lebanon, we got a crash 840 eastbound at Stewart's Ferry Pike. Traffic every 10 minutes, every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Hello, friends. Matt Murphy for Tennessee Men's Clinic. Gentlemen, let's talk to you for a moment. Now, you ladies can listen along because, ladies, oftentimes it's a nudge from you that gets your guy into Tennessee Men's Clinic. They see it all the time. I talk to Evan Bass about this all the time, right? The ladies nudge the guy because they've noticed maybe a little decrease in, intimate activity. And that's everything in a relationship, right? And if you don't have that level of intimate activity, you've noticed you've lost a step, gentlemen, or ladies, if you've noticed your guys lost a step, let's get with Tennessee Men's Clinic. It could be a very simple fix. If it's a T-level issue, they can get you back up and running with that energy level that you once had a year or 2 or 3 years ago right quick. And they have 2 locations to do it. One's in Cool Springs and the other in Midtown Nashville. Bottom line is this, guys. Waiting is not an option. Let's get right. Let's get that energy back. Let's get that love life going again with the Tennessee Men's Clinic. TennesseeMen'sClinic.com is the website to find out more. TennesseeMen'sClinic.com, or call for an appointment at 615-208-9090. 208-9090.
The guaranteed offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lock boxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.
"20 minutes until 6 o'clock, Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Matt Murphy, and we host a little gathering that we call the Matt Murphy Show. You know, I actually got a suggestion for a title of the show that I kind of liked.
Okay.
Let's hear it, Brother Murphy.
Murphy on the Move.
Murphy on the Move.
Or The Move with Matt Murphy.
On the move.
You know, so I don't know.
That sounds like you're packing up and going somewhere, though.
I kind of like
get it.
It was kind of in the spirit of Brian Wilson in The Drive, you know, kind of an offshoot of that. But
how about the groove?
Oh, well, that's even better. Get the lights down low, get the lava lamps going.
Yeah, we can get some Al Jarreau music
go.
as some background.
Get an aquarium behind you.
Oh, that'd be. Oh, you know what I hear? Have I told you what I've heard?
Let's hear it.
That they're going to have behind us. What's going to be behind us when they redo the studio?
That, no.
Very exciting. Very exciting. There's going to be a monitor that can change depending on the mood of the day or the whim of the executive producer of the show or the newsman, and we can change the background.
Like one of those mood rocks.
Like what?
It's always black for me for some reason.
Never thought of it that way, but yes, like one of those mood rocks.
Or mood ring, I think it is.
Yeah.
Very excited. Speaking of Talk TV, where you can find some of the shenanigans on Super Talk TV, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, someone on the Super Text line asked, hey, what? I don't see Chris on video. Has he turned into Headless Chris? And I don't know the answer to that. So is
Here
there
I am right now.
There's Brother
there
Chris
you go.
right there.
There he is. There's Chris Hand. Not Chris Hand, Chris Weber.
Take that as an insult.
My apologies. You look much better than Chris
Well, he
Hand.
was waving whenever you said it.
See, there you
Yeah,
go. Thank
yeah.
you. Thank you. Okay, thank you, Ken Weaver. So officially, the joke I told you right before we came back, I can't tell that joke on the radio, right?
Well, you could, but you probably shouldn't.
It had to do with the upgrade in the amount of snow that they were saying we were going to get.
Oh, well, it's changed again.
What, now we're at 8?
Yeah.
They're just playing games with us now.
I'll just put it this way. I think I can say this.
Yeah, let's see.
That I guarantee you that this is not the first time some listeners of this radio station at some point in their life have been promised 8 and got 4. Okay? I'm going to regret that one.
That's just pillow talk, baby.
I just knew. I mean, before I said it, I even said it to Weber off air so that I could get it out of I could cleanse my system and not say it.
Didn't work.
And then I did it anyway.
You couldn't help yourself.
I can't help myself because it's too good of a joke.
Yeah.
If you know, you know. And if you don't get it, don't ask. You don't need to know. Mark wants to find out more about this school choice deal. Let's find it out, Mark. Let's go.
Hey, how you doing?
Hey, Mark. I'm doing well. I hope you are.
Hey, not bad. Hey, I'm a public educator, and I'm probably one of the most conservative educators you'll ever meet. I think the school voucher program is attacking the wrong issue. Most parents will send their kids to a private school because they know that private school has good brains on what's going on in the building. If a student is not acting right or doing what they're supposed to be doing or not living up to their expectations, they can easily let that kid go. However, at public schools, we're forced to keep kids in there. Parents are not held responsible for the behavior of their students. You get 2 or 3 students in a classroom who disrupt that teacher, they can't get anything done. Therefore, the other 17, 18 kids suffer from the education because they have to keep up with the kid and keep them there all day long that's not responding to the appropriate protocol for a good education. I will tell you that a lot of the public educators can rival any private school. The difference is all the regulations and everything that are put on them to be able to manage a classroom and handle discipline. Private schools don't have to deal with that. And so therefore, you're putting teachers at a disadvantage by the laws that are created that are only held accountable to public schools.
Well, private, I would love to see, Mark, public educators have a better opportunity to discipline the disruptors in a fashion more consistent with private education. Now, public school will always, when it comes to discipline issues or with problem children or with children that come from homes where parents aren't really paying that much attention, aren't giving the attention to the student at home that they ought to, aren't providing authority figures or discipline within the home. Public education is always going to be behind the 8 ball, and they're always going to be behind private because they by necessity take everyone, right? Private school, they are not bound by those. They can exclude based on disciplinary issues.
You literally will have students in public schools who will run up and down the hallways. They will destroy classrooms. They have to vacate classrooms because a kid is throwing things or hitting things. We have teachers getting assaulted because there's nothing they can do about it. And so consequently, it's not the majority of the kids, but a handful of kids can disrupt that whole educational process.
I'm sorry to interrupt you. I had a question. You're familiar enough with the system. I'm not. Are there alternative schools in Tennessee?
There are, but the regulations to get a child into the alternative schools and the number of seats that are available. So it's the whole adage, bad becomes good when worse enters the picture. So, you've got a kid who in a private school would never last in that private school, but in a public school, it's probably a mild condition compared to some of the more heavy-duty behavior problems that will get a seat in the alternative school. And the alternative school is not that they're there the whole time. They're only there for a short period of time, and then they're sent back to their school. I'm telling you right now, if we really want to, the reason why parents take their kids to private schools It's because they're willing to invest in the money in an environment where they know that they have complete control of what's going on. And the thing is we keep writing. I would love to take a group of these kids that disrupt the school, take them up to the House of Representatives, let them go loose in the House of Representatives and say, okay, you guys go ahead and make them abide by your rules that you've created. Oh, I'm sorry, they're tearing up your desk, they're destroying your papers. Gotta let them stay. Oh, I'm sorry.
Well, I mean, so Mark, there are going to be inherent differences in the way that you can handle disruptors in the private setting and in the public setting. So I think we could do.
What you're doing though is you're creating a vacuum in the public schools by doing this. Now you're taking money and you're taking the students who are really good students, and you're going to create a huge magnet of parents who don't care about their kids' education, who aren't going to take that money, and then now you're going to be creating schools that are just so disruptive. You ever see the movie Lean on Me?
Well, sure. I mean, but by your logic, you're suggesting that we could correct the public schools by passing a law that would make private schools illegal.
No, what I'm saying is that we need to go ahead and get.
No, hold on. No, what you're saying. So understand the point that I just made. You're not changing the fact that by having private schools, you don't change the fact that public schools have to take all, and public schools aren't doing enough to discipline the disruptors or to do what is necessary to eliminate the disruptors. You're not going to change that by adding back in the good students.
No, what I'm saying is, compete to the rules that you're making and allow us to go ahead and say, okay, here's my thought process. It's the fact that education is not just based on the school itself. The parents have to be invested in it as well.
Agreed.
And so these parents who are not doing what they're supposed to with their kids, hit them in the pocketbook. The problem is there's no consequence for them not making their child behave in school.
Look, Mark, you're talking. I think there should be far more investment in the disciplining of young people within the school system. Sadly, that has been largely eliminated in the public arena. Secondarily, there's just a difference between what the private educational system can do with regard to dismissal, expulsion, and what the public education system can do. And I wish there was a way to change that, but there really isn't. Maybe there are alternative school type things that we could do to remove those disruptors from the classroom. I understand your point. It is well spoken, but I don't think that your point necessarily negates the need to give parents more choice in certain circumstances to get their kids into a better educational opportunity. What you're talking about, I feel like, is that it's going to further separate the quote-unquote haves and the have-nots.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah, and look, it's a legitimate and valid concern, and I'm here for it. I'm here for that conversation because I have that concern too. That if you take the typical public school right now, and they have to take all of them, and they're taking the bad actors and the disruptors, and sadly, many of them have learned how to skirt up to that line of disruption without doing something so egregious that they get expelled from the system or whatever. If you take that typical school system and then you skim the top 10%, which we would assume would be the performers or the parents that actually give a rip, and you skim the top 10% off and you send them to another system, that's going to make the public school system even worse. I would suggest that what we are trying to infuse is a sense of competition within the system, and you expect that the school system will get better necessarily so that we don't feel the need to skim those 10% off the top, so that I don't feel the need to spend the additional money to transport my kid to a private school or to spend money on top of the $7,000 scholarship to go to the private school setting, that I'm comfortable leaving my kid in the public school because the public school is performing. I think you have to get competition back into the system. And with that, you have to be able to discipline the disruptors and create an expectation on the part of parents. You're right. This does not address the lazy parents. This does not address the absentee parents. And I don't know what to do about that. I wish I did, but I don't. My kids are perfect. I mean, they are. They never backsass. They never backtalk. They make straight A's. They keep to themselves. I never hear from them when I go home. I mean, they don't exist, but they're perfect. 51 after the hour on Super Talk. You know, for the last 2 years, I've been telling you that over 25,000 customers have been satisfied thank you to USS, United Structural Systems. Over 25,000. You know, I just got an update on that figure. And we're now almost at 30,000 satisfied customers over the course of 31 years. Now, almost 31 years. We're into the 31st year come June. Friends, the bottom line is this. What we don't know certainly can hurt us. And if you are worried about foundation issues or perhaps waterproofing issues, or if you're worried about that concrete that is unsettled and uneven outside of your home, maybe a trip and fall hazard, it's time to get with the best. Get with USS. Go to USSTN.com. That's USSTN.com. They've been serving Middle Tennessee since 1994. They guarantee their best at USS. USS has got an incredible deal for you. And all you need to do is make the call that so many others have made to USS. By the way, consider this. When snow melts, it turns into water. And if your basement walls and your foundation walls aren't waterproofed, you're going to have a problem. So with the expected snow this week, there's an emphasis on waterproofing at USS. Go to 615-488-7855, 488-7855 for USS or online at USSTN.com.
Winter storm timeline, new snow totals predicted coming up at 6 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
I hope you're enjoying the show. I really do. I hope you're enjoying me and my new time slot. I'm just getting accustomed to it, frankly. I'm loving the conversation with Ken Weaver, as always. I'm loving the conversation with Chris Webber. I don't love it enough, apparently, to remember to do nincompoops in the news.
It's 2 days in a row, man.
It's 2 days in a row. I warned you. I warned you.
This is week 1, and you've forgotten it 2 out of the 4 days we've had a show.
We need to put a big cardboard cutout of Rerun in there.
We're going to do it at 6:05, and I said, is Ken going to still be here at 6:05? And Chris Webber said, I don't know. And I said, well, if he's not, I know who my nincompoop is going to be.
I'm going to be here.
Well, we'll do nincompoops in the news coming up in just a couple of minutes on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Joe is next in Smyrna. He's going to educate me on the I saw it on the Super Text line as the Range Act, and I didn't know what that was, but maybe Joe has some info.
Yes, sir. Thank you for taking my call.
Yeah.
In the Pamela Fur commercial for AFT, I believe, one of the things that they're going to have as they're gathering on Tuesday is about protesting the Range Act, I believe, and I've not heard anything about it.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I bet you this is what the Super Texter wanted to hear about, and
that was me.
Oh, was it? Okay. And for some reason it said range. So the Range Act is a requirement, or it requires Congress to approve any rules that would impact a community at $100 million or more. I think that's right. So it requires congressional approval over local or statewide issues above and beyond $100 million.
Okay, because it's the first I've heard of it, and I'm very curious about it.
I'll tell you what I'll do. I know the people I need to talk to get some good, solid information. I don't think I'm giving you solid information right now, Joe, but I want to. So give me a second, and you keep listening, and I'll get it on the other side right after nincompoops, okay?
All right, thank you, Matt.
All right, man. I'll do it. 615-737-9986. We're going to update you on everything you need to know about the big snow, which is coming starting tomorrow morning quite early. We'll do that next. One more hour to go at Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hang in there.
Six o'clock on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. And now the models are showing 6 to 8 inches of snow in Middle Tennessee. Starting at 2 o'clock in the morning, it's going to fall in West Middle Tennessee. And by 9 o'clock in the morning, it's going to be falling all across Middle Tennessee. Got the full forecast and traffic coming up in 5 minutes. Governor Lee's already issued a state of emergency ahead of the storm. He wants to make sure resources and agencies are streamlined to get help to where it's needed as fast as possible. Hopefully it's not. TDOT and NDOT asking people stay home. There's still time to go to the store before the storm. This man at the West Nashville Kroger told Channel 4.
I don't want to walk, and I don't want to be out here driving in the snow or ice with everybody else doing the same thing tomorrow, so might as well go ahead and stock up now while it's, otherwise beautiful, a little bit cold. So.
Yeah, a Kroger manager told Channel 4 they're working to restock after shipments got delayed by the winter storm in Kentucky last week. And then a manager at Publix says, ask your store's manager when the next shipment comes in. Some hardware store managers say they've been busy.
Yeah, it's been pretty busy, steady all morning. You know, people getting plenty of ice melt, scrapers, car de-icer, windshield washer de-icer. Like I said, sleds and salt.
Yeah, some stores have run out of shovels. And right now in Tennessee, State Attorney General Jonathan Skrmetti says it's another massive win for Tennessee and the country. A federal judge in Kentucky today blocked the Biden administration rule that required schools and administrators to use pronouns based on a student's gender identity and provide access to girls' bathrooms and locker rooms to boys who identify as girls. The Biden administration tried, but now has failed to include gender identity under the sex discrimination umbrella. And as firefighters battle to control the blazes spreading across the Los Angeles area.
Yeah,
Residents are returning to find what's left. That was the case for this widow in the Pacific Palisades.
I'm not crying. I can't. I was numb. So
She says she left her house not because of the fire, but because of the smoke, and didn't think this is what she'd return to. Meanwhile, Mayor Karen Bass is in the hot seat for decisions made during the threat of Santa Ana winds, like cutting $18 million from the fire department.
There were no reductions that were made that would have impacted the situation that we were dealing with over the last couple of days.
But Councilwoman Tracy Park says defunding the fire department has been a problem for decades in Los Angeles.
We have suffered from chronic underinvestment in both our critical infrastructure and our public safety resources.
Mayor Bass also criticized for taking a trip to Ghana during the threat. That's the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
Hello, friends. Matt Murphy for Nashville Safe House. So you have a gun to protect your family. You have weapons for sport shooting or for hunting. Do you protect those things that protect your family or that you use for enjoyment purposes like hunting and whatnot? In other words, do you have yourself a gun safe? I mean, that's a long way to ask the question, right? Well, Mark at the Safe House has gun safes available for you right now in stock that he can deliver to you with his Cracker Jack professional delivery team. Never a crackhead delivering your safe. I mean, they never use third-party entities to come into your home. Why would they do that? Because you don't know who these people are, and they don't know who these people are. Well, you know who's coming into your home when you buy from Nashville Safe House. Secondarily, they have the best selection around, and I'm telling you, when I mean around, I mean in the state of Tennessee, the Southeast, and I would put them against any place in the United States of America. Over 200 safes in stock. They have storm shelters. They have biometrics. They have every manner of gun safe, every size imaginable. I could fit into many of these safes. Not that I would recommend that. Browning, they have Fort Knox, Champion, Rhino, and every brand imaginable. And gun safes are sales tax free at Nashville Safe House. Go to Nashville Safe House to see the selection online, or better yet, stop by today, 4th Avenue South, across from City Cemetery. And when you go by, tell them Mark and the team, Matt Murphy sent you to Nashville Safe House.
Got a crash 440 westbound at Murphy Road. That's going to be exit 1A. And in Lebanon, a crash 840 eastbound at Stewart's Ferry Pike. West Nashville, the Nations. Police working a crash Briley Parkway southbound at I-40. And then 40 eastbound at Fessler's Lane. In Bellevue, we got a crash right shoulder block 40 westbound at Bellevue, Highway 70 south. Spring Hill, crash is blocking the left lane there at 65 southbound. In Madison, Gallatin Pike North, just south of Liberty Lane. Harding Place at Donaldson Pike. An accident blocking the left 2 lanes of 40 eastbound after Briley Parkway over at the airport. In Madison, we've got 65 northbound at Old Hickory Boulevard. Then 24 westbound after Bell Road got a crash. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
All right, I'm learning along with you, and thank you to Joe, caller Joe, who asked a question. What the heck is the RAINS Act? And you just heard Pamela Furr mentioning it, and I've caught up with it, and I've got it now. And so I'll help you out with it. I was not familiar with the terminology, but I am familiar with the concept of requiring Congress to actually do its job. We'll talk more about that coming up in just a couple of minutes. Plus, take your telephone calls. We'll update you on where we are with regard to the snow. We'll update you where we are with regard to the fires out in California. They are bad, and they're not getting any better, it seems. We're going to do all that this hour on the Matt Murphy Show on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Thanks for being with us. Hope your afternoon and evening has gone well thus far. Hope you're getting home safe and sound, whether you're in your automobile, homes, places of business, or otherwise. We thank you for listening to the Matt Murphy Show. Between myself, Chris Weber, and Ken Weaver, we try to do the best we can to inform, to educate, and maybe to put a smile on your face. And on occasion, we try to do that with a little segment that we like to call Nincompoops in the News. Time for Nincompoops in the News. Here's the deal. If you're new to the show, if you're new to the segment, it normally happens at about 5:38. But I forgot. Well,
I don't think we've established a normal just yet.
Oh, boy. Why do I feel like 6 months from now we're going to be doing this at 6:05 every day? And I'm going to say, hey, guys, remember when I tried to do it at 5:30 and it didn't work? Yeah. I don't know. Well, one way or the other, we'll figure it out. It's one of my favorite segments of the day, despite the fact that I keep forgetting about it. It's an opportunity for us to find the weird, the wacky in the news and tell you about what's going on, and you get to vote on who you believe the biggest nincompoop truly is. I feel like I'm in the catbird seat because I get to pick who goes first. So, Chris Weber, I don't necessarily want you to go first. I want you to pick who goes first.
I want to go first.
Well, hey, Chris, you go first.
You let me pick.
Yeah, sure. I feel like I shouldn't be the only one picking. It's our segment, after all.
All right, I'll get started with this one. This will be a short one. Authorities in Pinecrest, Florida, are searching for a man who they say was caught on camera vandalizing a business by hurling an unknown object at its glass storefront just 2 days before Christmas. The incident happened around 9 p.m. on December 23rd, and police released the surveillance footage, and it shows an individual throwing an object which they say shattered the front glass door of the business and caused about $1,000 in damage. They say that afterwards, the man fled northbound through an alley after the vandalism. They described him as a white male wearing a light-colored shirt, shorts, and black shoes at the time of the incident. The nincompoop comes in.
Mm-hmm.
The name of the business that was vandalized? Marion Psychic. Police are looking for this individual. They have not yet arrested this individual.
You want to do the punchline?
Go ahead.
They never saw it coming. They never saw it coming.
I just saw that story and I thought, that's just so dumb.
Marion Psychic.
Why didn't you take proper precautions, Marion Psychic?
One would think that, you would have been able to, board up or something prior to the incident if you saw it coming.
There's some psychic out there listening right now going, that's not how it works.
We had one of those weirdos in my hometown. I grew up in a very small town, Thomson, no P in Thompson, Georgia. Town, probably 9,000 people. The entire county, maybe 15, 16, 17,000. And we had one of those when I was growing up, kind of across the street from where my grandparents lived on the big road. And it was one of those big signs with the palm on it. It was called palm reading. And I was so, when I was a kid, I was petrified. I was petrified of that place.
Why?
Because I don't know. It's not that my grandmother or grandfather ever mentioned it or talked about it. I just, for some reason, was convinced that if you went in there, they would be doing all voodoo and, you know what I mean? Like,
was it a big red hand?
It was one of those, and it said palm reading.
Yeah.
From Madam, Hilda or something.
Had the lines on it.
Oh, yeah.
The lifeline, stuff like that.
Yeah, if your lifeline and your M line, and then, that means you're going to get married and all of that.
Yeah.
I was petrified of that place. Eventually, they closed up shop and the sign fell over. And they never saw that coming either.
I've been pressured to go to a psychic. Not seriously, but my wife wants us to do this. There's one in Gatlinburg that she wants to go to. Every time we go there, she wants us to go to the psychic just to see what they have to say. She says that she's not taking it seriously. I think she's taking it.
Do you think she?
I think she believes it.
I want to go. I've been a part of a tarot card reading, like on the street, like in New Orleans or someplace where I watched someone else, and it just seems so overly generic. I've seen these. I've heard these advertisements. I think on our radio station at night, where they say, "Oh, you call our trusted psychics or whatever."
Yeah.
Where, you can call up and we only use the most trusted psychics.
Like Dionne Warwick?
That kind of thing, yeah. And they're like, one of the testimonials was, the psychic didn't tell me anything I didn't already know, but it really confirmed in me. And I'm like, well, that's, what? It's not a psychic.
I don't think that's how it's supposed to work.
That's like a psychiatrist, right?
You got to be careful.
Feel better.
You got to be careful, man. I remember what happened to William Shatner's character there in that Twilight Zone. He and his newlywed, he and his new bride stop off in that little Busy Bee Cafe and start putting nickels in that little devil head. Started telling him things that were going to happen.
And then they started happening?
And they happened.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember this.
I don't remember that.
Oh, yeah, you got to watch that one.
Like, Shatner's on several of the Twilight Zones there, because I remember Shatner on the airplane.
Yeah.
That was a big one. That was a big one.
Gremlin on the wing.
Yeah.
Yeah, this one's called The Nick of Time.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I need to check that out. I used to love those old Twilight Zones.
I watch them all the time, man.
I love them. Love them. Ken Weaver, you're next.
Okay, let's see. My nincompoop is going to be the mayor of a little Italian town that has decided to ban its residents from getting sick.
What?
He says getting sick is prohibited. Residents of Belcastro in the southern region of Calabria have been ordered to avoid contracting any illness that requires medical assistance, especially an emergency. A decree from Mayor Antonio Torchia stated. Torchia told local TV that while we take the decree with a bit of irony, it is intended to highlight the town's inadequate access to health care. Town is about 1,300 people, half of whom are elderly. It has a health center that is often closed. It has on-call doctors, but they're never available on weekends, holidays, or after hours.
So they're not on call.
Yeah, pretty much. The closure of nearby healthcare centers and the fact that the nearest emergency room is about 45 kilometers or 28 miles away in the city of Catanzaro leads the mayor to believe it necessary to adopt an urgent and non-deferrable act of precautionary nature.
Well,
it's just that simple.
I mean, it's just that easy.
Mm-hmm. Now it's not clear if or how this ordinance will be enforced. He just says it's aimed at provoking regional authorities and health officials to address the issues. But we've been through something, and we know what government made us do.
Well, it's true.
Yeah.
And it just brings me back to that. So, these people, they just want to live their lives.
Mm-hmm.
And he's telling them actually during certain times of the year to stay inside.
Ooh.
Don't, go out and see friends and that sort of thing. Because you might get sick. And I have banned that in our small town.
No sickness in our small town.
Yeah.
The beatings will continue until morale improves.
That's right. So, Mayor Antonio Torchia.
Sounds delicious.
You are the nincompoop.
Nincompoop nominee from Ken Weaver.
Strong candidate.
That's a pretty good one. Here is my candidate. I've got a little audio portion to my candidacy today. Oh, yeah. Oh, no, I learned it from Ken Weaver yesterday when we were late.
That's right.
He had an audio thing. Yeah. And I thought, man, that's a good idea to have a little audio section to your nincompoopery. Here's my nincompoop in the news.
Governor, you got a second? Governor, I live here, Governor. That was my daughter's school, Governor. Please tell me what you're going to do. I'm not going to hurt him, I promise.
I'm literally talking to the president right now to specifically answer the question of what we can do for you and your daughter.
Can I hear it? Can I hear your call? Because I don't believe it.
I'm sorry. There's literally, I've tried 5 times. That's why I'm walking around to make the call.
Why is the president not taking your call?
Because Because it's not going through. So
Why?
I have to get cell service.
So
There's
let's
no
get
cell
it.
service.
Let's get it. I want to be here when you call.
So this is Governor Gavin Newsom on a city street, a constituent with a mask on. Obviously, there's a lot of, smoke and whatnot. So I
you don't
begrudge
wanna
her
breathe that in.
No. She runs up to him. Security guy tries to stop her. She said, I promise I'm not going to hurt him. And she's like, Governor, can you help me? Can you help me? And he goes, you heard him. I'm literally on the phone with the president of the United States right now.
Right.
Yeah.
And she goes, can I hear it? Well, I can't get him on the phone because I've tried 5 times. He's not returning your calls? Well, no, actually, we don't have any cell service. You see how quick that story changed from I'm literally on the phone to we don't have any cell service?
Yeah.
Let's just listen to this one more time.
Your school, Governor. Please tell me what you're going to do. I'm not going to hurt him. I promise.
I'm literally talking to the president right now.
Talking to the president right now?
Specifically answer the question of what we can do for you and your daughter.
Can I hear it? Can I hear your call? Because I
it
don't
doesn't-
believe it.
I'm sorry. There's literally, I've tried 5 times. That's why I'm walking around to make the
Why
call.
is the president not taking your call?
Why is he not taking your call?
Because it's not going through. So
Why?
I have to get cell service.
So let's
There's
get
no
it.
cell service.
Let's get it. I want to be here when you call the president.
I appreciate it. I'm doing that right now. And it's to immediately get reimbursements, individual assistance, and to help you. I'm devastated for you. I'm so sorry, especially for your daughter. I have 4 kids.
There we go. So he's got 4 kids. And so he's literally on the phone with the president right now. Oh, wait, no, I'm not. Why won't he take your call? Oh, well, because we don't have cell service. So I would also note that Elon Musk has offered Starlink for every one of these communities impacted through these devastating fires to make sure that everybody has the ability to get cell service. So, Gavin, you might want to talk to Elon, whom you hate.
Yeah.
And maybe he can help you out. And, oh, by the way, I thought Gavin Newsom didn't need the assistance of President. And is he on the phone with Joe Biden? Is he on the phone with Donald Trump? Who's he on the phone with? When I first saw this, I thought he was talking about Donald Trump. I swear to you, because I just assumed that Donald Trump's president of the United States.
He didn't say Trump?
No, he said the president.
Oh, okay.
He just says the president.
Yeah, I assumed he was speaking to Trump as well.
My natural assumption was, what are you talking to Trump for? I didn't think you needed Trump. And then I realized, oh, wait, he's not the president yet.
Not yet.
And it's coming. So
it is.
Those are our 3 nincompoop nominees. You may vote on the super text line, 615-737-9986. We'll also take, thank you very much. I also told Weber I wanted that to end the segment, and I'm not doing that right either. The host is not doing anything right on this show right now. But yet still, we move forward. It's 20 after the hour. Super Talk 99.7 WTN. So the right way to train when it comes to your firearm is with a personal instructor in a private shooting room at GlockStore. I've been telling you this for a while. After every session, you walk out of that room a better, more confident shooter. And I'll tell you, I've been on plenty of lanes over my lifetime. I've done plenty of downrange shooting. And that, and a lane has its place, and that's all well and good. This is simply a superior way to train. You get more out of it. You don't have to shoot nearly as much, and you don't have to worry about the guy next to you or the guy on the other side of you. This incredible, incomparable Shoot270.com indoor range is available for you right now at the one and only GlockStore. And right now, if you sign up, you go to shoot270.com and sign up for a session. You'll get to shoot a full auto H&K suppressed MP5 just for mentioning my name. It's a $50 value. All you have to do is buy the ammo and you can shoot the weapon. It is a full auto H&K suppressed MP5 that you can shoot mentioning Matt Murphy's name. It's an incredible store. It's a great retail space. It's a fabulous experience, and these shooting rooms are par excellence. Minutes away from the airport, worth the drive from anywhere. Check them out online, GlockStore.com or Shoot270.com.
Winter storm timeline. We have updated snow totals, and the U.S. Supreme Court has made its decision and is rejecting President-elect Trump's request to block tomorrow's sentencing in the hush money case. That and more coming up at 6:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
And these things are going to happen with occasion, but it was right where I was going in as much as this has just come down. So I'm not trying to get in front of Ken Weaver's parade, but I will say this. There were 4 dissents. There were 4 individuals that indicated on the court that they would have granted the application. I'm curious if the astute, knowledgeable listening audience of this radio show and radio station can name the 4 that would have granted the application.
Yeah.
Better yet, just tell me the 2 quote-unquote conservatives that veered off the reservation and decided not to. The application, and pardon me, Ken, I'm getting in front of your story.
That's all right, dude.
The application for stay presented to Justice Sotomayor and by her referred to the entire court is denied. The following reasons for the denial. First, the alleged evidentiary violations at President-elect Trump's state court trial can be addressed in the ordinary course of appeal. Second, the burden that sentencing will impose on the president-elect's responsibilities is relatively insubstantial in light of the trial court's stated intent to impose a sentence of, quote, unconditional discharge after the brief virtual hearing. I'm not going to tell you, but the last line is Justice Blank, Justice Blank, Justice Blank, and Justice Blank would grant the application. In other words, they dissented on the decision of the court. It was a 5-4 decision not to grant the application. Who do you think the 2 that kind of veered off the reservation and went with the liberals were? I'll give you a chance to chew on that for a moment. Right now, it's Heather's turn in Nash. Hello, Heather. Thanks for your patience.
Oh, thank you. I am really trying to get on board with this school voucher thing because I like the concept of it, but it seems like to me that private schools are usually pretty full to capacity already, and that the vouchers will be used more by the people that are already in the private schools than, bringing new people in. And I'm not sure how it's going to be paid for if it's not taking money out of the public school money. And then also, how is it going to generate competition if it's not taking money from them? Because if the schools that are losing students aren't losing money, what is their incentive to improve? There's just so many, I feel like we're just giving up on the public schools, and I understand throwing more money at public schools has never done anything, but getting back to the roots of, reading, writing, and arithmetic and discipline is what we need in public schools, and I'm not sure, pulling a lot of students out and sending them somewhere else is really the answer.
So let's try to work through these one by one because I think your concerns are quite valid, and I understand that this will not go necessarily all the way in our efforts to improve the public education system. I don't know that that's the design of the program, though. The design of the program is to prevent money from being an impediment for a parent to have a better opportunity to choose where their kids go to school, regardless of whether those schools are failing or not. Does that make sense?
It does. What if they were able to move to other schools within the public system that are doing better? That seems like that would generate more competition in the public.
I think that's available to parents now. If I'm not mistaken, I want to say that's available to parents now, but what they have to do is cover any and all additional, they have to cover local taxes. Like if I live in Wilson County. If I wanted to send my kids to Williamson County to a public school there, I would be able to do that so long as they have availability, but I would apply, and then they would calculate the amount of money that I would be paying in local taxes to the system, and I would have to pay that. Does that make sense?
Didn't know that.
I think don't quote me on that, Heather, because I may have some of those details wrong, but I think I'm basically right in that. So the $140 million, that would be the cost of the 20,000 scholarships at $7,000 apiece. It's already been appropriated money, and it was not appropriated out of the current education budget. So the money does not come from that budget. But based on the per pupil allocation of money, because a lot of times these districts get their money based on the numbers of students that they have, but those are calculated at the beginning of any given school year. So eventually the school systems would necessarily get less money based on the amount of pupils that they have within the system. So the overall budget would not move in terms of education, but the local districts might get less money if they have less students.
Well, so, and what about just it being used on the students that are already in private schools, because I don't think they have a lot of availability and a lot of open room. And, not that those parents don't deserve to be able to use their tax money where they want it, but I'm not sure it'll pull a lot of people. It'll benefit the people who it's really
I guess those parents have to apply like everyone else within the system, but it's my understanding they're allowed to get in line. But I would suggest that there are a lot of parents in the state of Tennessee that are skimping and saving and really trimming the fat and cutting their budget, maybe not taking vacations. They're doing everything in their power and maybe even eating into savings in order to get their kids in a better educational opportunity. And I don't see anything wrong with alleviating some of that pressure for those parents that have already made those hard decisions.
Right,
That's just me.
they're deserving of it.
Yeah.
I'm just not sure it's going to benefit the people who aren't, who maybe it's designed to benefit the ones that aren't using this, aren't able to do.
Well, these are very valid. No, your concerns are valid, obviously, and they're well thought out. And we'll continue talking about the various aspects of this. Call us back if you have any other questions. I hope that I hope I've answered your questions tonight.
Yes, I appreciate it.
Okay, yeah, sure. Well, Heather, thank you so much. It's 31 after the hour on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Snow's expected to start at 2 o'clock in the morning in West Middle Tennessee. Then it'll be over all of Middle Tennessee by 9 o'clock. Travel conditions are going to deteriorate rapidly. Crews are already treating the roads, and now the new models show the chance of 6 or 8 inches is 50 to 80%, and that includes places like Nashville, Franklin, Murfreesboro, Mount Juliet, Clarksville. All of Middle Tennessee could get up to 8 inches of snow. Governor Lee has issued a state of emergency ahead of the storm to make sure resources and agencies are streamlined to get help to where it's needed as fast as possible. TDOT and NDOT asking people to stay home if possible. That hush money case update we were talking about, the U.S. Supreme Court has rejected President-elect Donald Trump's request to block tomorrow's sentencing in that New York hush money criminal case. This means that the president-elect will carry the label convicted felon when he returns to the White House. 4 of the court's conservative members, Justices Clarence Thomas, Samuel Alito, Neil Gorsuch, and Brett Kavanaugh, said they would have granted Trump's emergency application. Money News, Jim Ryan.
The Dow Jones and S&P posted moderate gains Wednesday. The stock market is closed today in observance of the National Day of Mourning for former President Jimmy Carter. Carter's state funeral is being held at the National Cathedral in Washington. A new estimate on the financial damage from the wildfires in Los Angeles County is already over $50 billion. AccuWeather says its estimate will go up if the fires spread to more densely populated areas. Global deliveries of Volkswagens fell 1.4% to 4.8 million vehicles last year. The company blames a weak economy in its native Europe and intense competition in China, which is its biggest market. And Brooks Brothers has a new family member, J.C. Penney. The retailer is merging with Spark Group, which owns Brooks Brothers, Aeropostale, and Eddie Bauer. They're forming a new company, Catalyst Brands, which will have 1,800 stores.
That's the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News. Boy, I-40 right now getting a lot of action out there. We've got a crash right there at Fessler's Lane going eastbound. Then near the airport, the left two lanes 40 eastbound are blocked after Briley Parkway. Checking in Wilson County, Lebanon, got 840 eastbound right there at Stewart's Ferry Pike. Then in Bellevue, 40 westbound at Highway 70S. 440 westbound at Murphy Road. Madison's got 165 northbound at Old Hickory Boulevard. Down in Williamson County, Spring Hill, a crash blocking the left lane, 65 southbound at 840. Traffic every 10 minutes, every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
You know, oftentimes we can't control, more often than not, we can't control what others do in our communities, but we can control how we react to it. And sadly, we've seen an uptick over the years in crime and criminal activity in and around Middle Tennessee. Well, that is a sad reality. It's also a sad reality that 90% of the men that go into the prison system are going to come out. Here's what I mean when I say we can control how we react to it. What if I told you there was an incredible ministry within the prison system that is doing God's work, bringing men to God and showing them the love of God, which gives them a path of success when they get out of the prison system? That is Men of Valor. Because of the power of God and the power of God's people, this is working in Tennessee prisons, and I want to keep it going. Do you? Will you help? Will you volunteer? Become a Bible study teacher or a mentor? They need their volunteers in the prison system itself, at their campus, at their after reentry program, and much, much more. Do this. Go to movministry.com. That's movministry.com to find out more about the wonderful organization that is Men of Valor. Tell them that I sent you. It'll do your heart proud to know that you're helping bring men to God through Men of Valor.
Hey, what's up, guys? It's Matt Murphy in the middle of downtown Franklin, Tennessee. We've talked so much about Savory Spice. I thought, why not show you the place? So let's go on in and see what's popping at Savory Spice. As I've always said, you will smell the spices even before you walk in. I can smell them right here in the doorway. Come on in and let's introduce you to the one and only Holly, who is the owner and proprietor of Savory Spice. Say hey, Holly.
Hello, everyone.
Now, enough about Holly. Let's talk about spicy and easy products like the incredible taco soup, which, as I said, you put this in a crock pot, you put all the ingredients that it tells you to buy right there, you put the spices in, and it's so easy. So if you don't know what you're doing around the kitchen, it's a perfect way to find your way around the kitchen, as is the Mediterranean dill risotto. Now, for the holidays, pumpkin pie spice. What doesn't it have, Holly?
Pumpkin.
Doesn't have any pumpkin in it. That's a fun fact for all of you kids out there. Now, if you stop by Savory Spice, either in the Franklin location or at L&L Market, you can get yourself a sample of the dill dip, which is my absolute favorite. Just tell them Matt Murphy sent you to Savory Spice with purchase now. So come by Franklin or L&L Market in Nashville and come see Holly and the entire crew at Savory Spice.
Super Talk 99.7 WTN, Matt Murphy for another 20 minutes or so. And then we're heading out and we're anticipating, everybody's all excited about the snow.
They're either excited or terrified, one of the two.
Well, and we got a lot of response, and I failed to bring it up at the time, but I'm bringing it up now. We got a lot of response when I asked to give us a report on the, I gave kudos to the folks that aren't rating the big box stores or the Harbor Freights of the world on tarps and gloves and whatever. I didn't see any shovels, though. I have a snow shovel. Do you have a snow shovel?
I do.
I do, too.
Yep, I ordered mine on Amazon.
Oh, well, I don't know that we got ours on Amazon, but it came last year right after the winter season. I thought this was stupid. What do we need this for? Now we got it. And I'm like, ooh, that's good. So I gave kudos to the folks that weren't rating the places where you would go get tarps and whatnot. Well, apparently not so much in the grocery stores. They are going after the grocery stores hot and heavy. I got a lot of photos on Super Text showing empty shelves.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, and it is. Let's see. I just got back to it. Left the Kroger in Murfreesboro about 4. It was a zoo. Lines were long. Not much milk left. No ground beef at all. Very little other meat. Half the bread gone. And that's just indicative of a lot. My husband stopped by Kroger on his way home for some tonic to mix with a little vodka. That sounds like a great idea. We decided to check the milk and bread status while he was there just for kicks. Barely made it out of the store alive. Nothing there in Columbia. He couldn't wait to start drinking. 9250 says Publix in Brentwood, and then from a former Chicagoan, this is insane. He shows me pictures of the Publix in Brentwood, empty shelves, empty shelves, empty shelves, empty shelves. Statman says everybody and their mamas at Kroger on Edmondson Pike right now. Shelves are bare.
Yeah.
Publix in Belmead cleaned out. Aldi across the street from the zoo is out of all produce. I did not go any further.
Oh, produce? Wow.
And no meat at the Publix in Franklin, just quail eggs. And well, the great thing is, he gives me the pic. They got quail eggs in Franklin?
That's what I'm saying.
Rich folk.
Yeah.
Eating quail eggs. Oh, well, I guess they're not eating quail eggs. They left the quail eggs. I mean, literally gives me a photo. Empty shelves, and it says fresh quail eggs. Here they are. Y'all come and get them.
They're probably $20 a dozen or something.
Hold on.
Can you zoom?
I don't know how many. It looks like a 1, 2, 3, 4. It only looks like 5 on one side. So do quail eggs come in tins? I don't know. $5.99.
Oh, they're only like the size of a grape, though, right?
Yeah, I think they're much smaller.
Yeah.
But yeah, $5.99 for whatever amount that they're offering. Snowmageddon 25 update. The Borough. Traffic is crazy. Stores are busy. But heck, seems to be fairly well stocked. No salt, ice, melt to be seen. Everything seems kind of normal. So, well, hope you've already gotten everything that you need, because it seems like people are cleaning out the joints where they need them. And yes, most of you were correct. Oh, wait, Costco Brentwood deli case, and there's nothing. Wait, what is that on top of the deli case? Like all of the bottom of the deli case is out. What is that on top? Was it that souse meat? What is that? I don't know what that would be. It's funny because I can't tell what's on the upper shelf, but the lower shelf is completely empty. The upper shelf is completely full of whatever that is on the upper shelf.
People don't want it, whatever it is. My question is, do people not have food at home already? I don't understand. Like I went grocery shopping today, but Thursday is our normal weekly day to go shopping. So I went and did the shopping this morning, just like I do every week.
Right.
But I didn't buy anything that we normally wouldn't have been buying because of the sale or what have you. But we have food at home. Do people buy groceries every day? That's just strange to me.
I think people just are freaked out that they're going to be snowed in for a few days, and it freaks them out. Wow. 9929 says that was shredded chicken on the upper shelf that was remained untouched, while the lower shelf seemed to be.
They can do a lot with make some
do a lot with
tacos or Burritos.
Enchilada.
Put it in some soup.
Yeah, sure. Or hell, just piece of bread and some mayo and mustard.
Got to do what you got to do.
Chicken sandwich.
It'll work.
The grocery store looks like Thanksgiving Eve. I just left the Publix in Gallatin. They had every single item. They were low on stuff, but they had everything, and they were busy. Dylan says the pig is all stocked up. So Piggly Wiggly is ready to go, y'all.
I didn't know we had a.
I didn't know we had a Piggly Wiggly either. Hey, Dylan, where's the Piggly Wiggly? I used to love going into the Piggly Wiggly. My mama, God rest her soul, she didn't call it the Piggly Wiggly. We called it the Hoggly Woggly. And we would go in, and they still had the green stamps.
Yeah.
Back in the day. And I knew that whatever happened, when we got back to the car, I would get to lick the stamps and put the stamps in the book.
Yeah.
And I would always
remember that. Yeah.
be very excited about that. What about $17 for a pound of chicken? What?
Ooh. Where's that?
Well, come on, man. So, I guess what this person sent me this is at the Publix, but it's organic and free range guaranteed. It's a whole chicken, $11.49 a pound. And I guess what they're saying is that was the only thing left.
Yeah.
So they had to buy the organic and the free range. That's a lot for some chicken.
Yes, it is.
You can go to Sam's Club and get a whole cooked chicken for $4.99, and it's good, too.
Mm-hmm.
All right, back to the phone calls as we wrap up. Oh, before I get to the calls, the Chevron decision. I lost my pen. The Chevron decision that was meted out by the Supreme Court in June of 2024 overturned the Chevron doctrine that was created through a 1984 Supreme Court ruling. In the case, the court majority concluded that the Chevron doctrine was inconsistent and unworkable with other statutes. In other words, it unfairly shifted the balance of power away from the legislative branch of government, which is the branch that's supposed to pass the laws, to the executive branch. It gave the executive branch way too much power to fill in the laws where they ought not be filling in the laws. Now, why do I bring that up? Because a previous caller asked about the REINS Act. REINS stands for Regulations from the Executive in Need of Scrutiny, REINS. Everything has to be an acronym. Everything has to be an acronym. What the REINS Act would do, it would require Congress to approve, it would require a congressional vote to approve any federal agency rule that would impact spending or the economy by $100 million or more. So no executive action could be taken if it's going to impact the economic cycle by over $100 million unless Congress approves of this. It was introduced by Senator Rand Paul. Kat McCormick, I guess, representative in the Congress on the House side, is the co-sponsor. And it was introduced in September, and I agree 100% the REINS Act needs to be passed. I was unfamiliar with the phraseology, but absolutely. Anything that we need to do to make Congress do its job, let's make them do their job. So I hope that explains that for you. I believe it was Joe that asked about that. Joe, I hope that's an explainer that you can understand. It's requiring that Congress act before the federal government just continues bloating the bureaucracy with more costly measures. D.C. is next. Hello, pop me DC there if you can. Hello, DC. How are you?
Doing well. How about yourself, sir?
Well, I'm great, DC. Thanks for calling in.
In regards to the voucher bill, I probably haven't followed it nearly as close as I should have, especially being I'm directly affected by it. I'm a single father. Before I was a single father, the decision was made for my children to be in a faith-based private school, which I was all behind. I'm still all behind. I'm thrilled that they're there. This legislation at this point, since I'm the only person footing the bill for this, directly affects me. And my limited understanding of it leads me to believe that even the public schools that lose students due to this legislation will still receive the same funding, which to me certainly seems like they would have more funding per student than before.
So I believe what would happen is the per pupil funding would naturally go down as the student population goes down. So the overall budget will remain the same, and they can reprioritize some of that money, but the amount of money that goes based on the amount of students that go to those school systems to the systems would naturally go down as the student population goes down.
Okay. Then I completely
that's my understanding of it. So I could be wrong, and I'll stand corrected if so, but I think I'm correct.
Well, I guess the thing that had me call in was one of the previous callers that talked about this is a systematic problem with the schools, and the public schools. I don't disagree. I'm a product of public schools, proud of it, but all that notwithstanding, regardless of if it's a systematic problem, trying to tell me as a parent that this is a problem that's going to take decades to correct or many years to correct, that does not comfort me at all for my children that are in school right now. The voucher bill would do that and would help me tremendously. So I understand everyone's concern about it, but me personally, as a constituent, I want this to pass, and I would love to be able to take advantage of it. I'm going to struggle and work 60, 70, 80 hours a week regardless to make do if it doesn't pass. But this is something that affects me on such a personal level that I care deeply about it. I just don't understand all the pushback.
Well, I mean, we'll keep talking about it. It's going to be a subject that comes up quite often between now and a couple of weeks from now, because it's my understanding, Cameron Sexton would not tell us this today, but it is my understanding, I have it on good authority from 3 different sources, that they're going to gavel into general session, they're going to go to recess, and the governor's going to call them into a special session to deal with school choice. School choice is going to be dealt with before anything else is dealt with in the General Assembly this year. So over the next couple of weeks, we're going to get a deep dive into the ins and outs, the pros and cons of this legislation, and you'll hear about it first on Super Talk 99.7 WTN and the Matt Murphy Show. We'll tell you who won nincompoops in the news next. Wrap things up for this edition right after this. Now, look it, guys. I've got some exciting news for you, and I've known about this for some time, long before I talked about the fabulous gang at Eurofix, because I saw the store right there in Mount Juliet. It's in my neck of the woods. Many of you who have lived here a long time, you already know about Eurofix. They've been in Middle Tennessee for your European car needs for 26 years, and we've all gotten to watch them grow. It's pretty cool. Well, I don't know about you, but I love watching a hometown business take off, and that's exactly what's happening with Aaron Stokes and his business. It started in a barn in the backyard of a single-wide trailer. Now they have 5 locations, repairing thousands of cars every month. And the brand new 5th location is in MJ, Mount Juliet, at Eurofix on Mount Juliet Road, right across the street from the Dairy Queen. You can drop your car off and then go have a dip cone. Eurofix can serve you in Franklin, 100 Oaks, Murfreesboro, Belmead, and now Mount Juliet. Pretty cool watching this thing grow. Go to 844-EUROFIX on the phone, 844-EUROFIX. Don't forget about that 3-year nationwide warranty and free loaner car. Or go to myeurofix.com. That's myeurofix.com. Tell Aaron and the crew that I told you about Eurofix. If I'm not mistaken, we've done nincompoops in the news, including today, 4 times. Ken's won twice. You've won once, right? I think that's
I don't know. I didn't know that I won.
Or maybe I won once.
Yeah, I don't remember.
Well, we need a better system.
I don't think we announced who won yesterday.
No, I think Ken won yesterday. I thought you won the day before. I thought Ken won the first day because it was 1-1. Then it was 2-1 Ken, and
I'll take the win. I don't know.
Because I was laughing about the fact that I had not scored a victory. Well, all of that changed today, baby.
Oh boy,
old Newscomb for the win.
Yeah, not surprised.
Yeah, it's not surprising. So that's going to wrap it up. You know what? I didn't get to this clip. Do I have 25 seconds? I can get to this clip.
Yeah. You want to see somebody that responds to your house, your emergency, whether it's a medical call or a fire call, that looks like you. It gives that person a little bit more ease, knowing that like somebody might understand their situation better.
Well,
is she strong enough to do this? Or you couldn't carry my husband out of a fire, which my response is, he got himself in the wrong place if I have to carry him out of a fire.
That is the assistant fire chief of L.A. County. Believe it or not. Hey, we're back for Snow Day tomorrow. Until then, so long, everybody. Mark Levin next.